Your mind is a garden. For years, perhaps, the soil has been untended, and the seeds of scarcity, sown by others, have taken root. They have grown into thick, thorny weeds of doubt and limitation, choking the life from your aspirations. What if today you chose to become the gardener? What if this very moment was the beginning of a conscious, deliberate cultivation of your inner world? This is not a question that requires a spoken answer, but one that echoes in the silent chambers of your being, waiting for you to simply begin. You know the feeling intimately, the relentless effort that somehow leads you back to the same place. The sensation of pressing against an invisible wall, watching as wealth and ease flow effortlessly to others, seeming to exist in a world apart from your own. It is a quiet exhaustion, a weariness born not of laziness, but of a battle fought within, a silent, ceaseless struggle. You have run the race, you have followed the rules, you have chased the currencies of survival, yet the deep, resonant hum of true prosperity remains a distant music. You have been told to work harder, to want more, to strive relentlessly, and yet something inside you knows this is not the entire truth. The chase itself has become the cage. So now, let us invite a pause. Let this be a sanctuary in time. Put down the weight of the numbers, the bills, the forecasts, the anxieties that cling to your thoughts like dust. We are not here to build a new strategy for the external world. We are here to step into the silent room within you, the architect's office where the original blueprints of your life are stored. This journey is not about doing more. It is about becoming more. It is about peeling back the layers of programming to rediscover the potent, magnetic core of your own being. For wealth is not a thing you acquire. It is a state you embody. It is a frequency you tune into. And the receiver, the dial, and the power source have always been inside of you. Let us begin. Before you can build a new structure, a towering skyscraper of prosperity that touches the heavens, you must first survey the old foundation. You must descend into the vaults of your own mind, into the quiet, dusty archives where the original blueprints of your life are kept. We think we are making our own choices about money, that our financial state is a result of our present-day efforts and the current economic climate. But this is a profound illusion. Long before you earned your first dollar, a series of laws were written for you. A contract was signed on your behalf. You are living out the terms of an inheritance, a psycho-spiritual inheritance of belief that dictates the flow of abundance into your life, or quietly commands its retreat. So let us begin this sacred work, not by looking forward, but by looking back and by looking within. Let us learn to hear the echoes in the vault. This vault is not a dark and frightening place. It is simply a space within you that holds every memory, every whispered word, every charged emotion you have ever absorbed about wealth and value. It is the echo chamber where the voices of your parents, your teachers, and your culture still resonate, bouncing off the walls with such consistency that you have mistaken them for your own thoughts. These are the inherited blueprints. They are not physical documents, but energetic imprints, programs running silently in the background of your consciousness. They are the ghosts in your machine. Listen closely. Can you hear the first echo? It is a common one, a righteous one, often spoken with a certain pride. Money is the root of all evil. Or perhaps a softer version. Good people don't care about money. This single belief, absorbed in childhood, can create a devastating internal conflict. Your conscious adult self desires security, freedom, the ability to provide for your loved ones, and the power to make a positive impact. These are noble desires. But the inherited program, the echo in the vault, whispers a warning. To seek wealth is to become corrupt. To desire money is to lose your soul. And so, a civil war begins within you. You push forward toward a goal, and an invisible force pulls you back. You secure a victory only to sabotage it in a way you cannot explain. You feel a sense of guilt when you receive a bonus, a strange shame in paying for something luxurious. This is the echo of the righteous blueprint, forcing you to choose between being good and being abundant, a choice that was never real to begin with. Now, listen for another, more subtle echo. You must work hard for your money. On the surface, this sounds like sound advice, a noble work ethic, but feel the energy behind it. Feel the weight of the word hard. This blueprint does not just honor effort, it sanctifies struggle. It teaches the subconscious mind that money must be linked to pain, to exhaustion, to sacrifice. If an opportunity comes easily, the program flags it as suspicious, untrustworthy. If you are not depleted at the end of the day, the echo whispers that you haven't earned your keep. This belief is a powerful barrier to flow, to inspiration, to the kind of wealth that arrives as a result of joyful creation and aligned action. It keeps you on a treadmill of effort, forever proving your worthiness through your own suffering, blind to the open doors that lead to a different way, an easier way. It is the difference between rowing a boat against a ferocious current and simply putting up a sail to catch the wind. This blueprint tells you that sails are for the lazy, that the only honorable journey is one of endless, exhausting rowing. Descend deeper into the vault. There, another set of blueprints is stored, this one filled with portraits of the wealthy. What do they look like in your mind? Are they greedy, lonely, unhappy, morally bankrupt? These are powerful caricatures, handed down through stories, films, and societal envy. If your internal blueprint for a rich person is a negative one, why would your subconscious ever allow you to become one? It would be a betrayal of your own identity, your own values. Your subconscious mind, in its primary role to protect you, will safeguard you from becoming the very thing you have been taught to despise. It will ensure you remain one of the good guys, even if it means remaining in a state of perpetual lack. Every time you get close to a major breakthrough, this program will activate, creating a diversion, a mistake, a sudden loss of confidence, all to save you from the perceived loneliness and corruption of success. And perhaps the most pervasive echo of all, the very air inside the vault, is the whisper of scarcity. There isn't enough to go around. Take your piece before someone else gets it. A win for them is a loss for you. This is the foundational program of competition and fear. It frames the universe as a finite pie and life as a desperate scramble for the biggest slice. When you operate from this blueprint, you live in a state of constant, low-grade anxiety. You hoard what you have. You fear the success of others. You view every transaction through the lens of what you are losing, not what you are circulating. This echo is so deeply embedded in our collective consciousness that it feels like an immutable law of physics, but it is not. It is simply the most persistent echo in the vault, the story that has been told so many times, it has drowned out the truth. The first and most courageous act of transformation is not to fight these echoes. It is not to scream back at them or attempt to shatter the walls of the vault. The first act is simply to light a torch, to walk inside, and to listen. For the first time, you are not the voice, but the witness. You are not the echo, but the listener. This is the practice of mental archaeology. Take a journal, a pen, and find a space of silence. Ask yourself, with genuine, non-judgmental curiosity, what did I learn about money as a child? What were the exact phrases my parents used? What was the emotional atmosphere in the house when bills arrived? What stories was I told about our rich relatives or the poor ones? Write it all down. Let the words flow without censorship. Money doesn't grow on trees. Save it for a rainy day. We can't afford that. Each phrase is an artifact. Each memory is a clue to the blueprint that is running your life today. As you write, you are not judging your parents or your past. You are simply taking inventory. You are an archaeologist, carefully brushing the dust off an ancient artifact to see its shape for the first time. While you are engaged in this excavation, consider a practical step, a media fast. For a week, or even just 3 days, consciously unplug from the relentless broadcast of lack. Turn off the news that thrives on economic fear. Log out of the social media feeds that are engineered to make you feel that your life is less than someone else's. This is not about burying your head in the sand. It is about allowing the dust to settle inside your own vault. The constant noise of the outside world is what keeps these echoes activated, what makes them seem so loud and real. In the quiet, you create the space to distinguish between the noise of the world and the true, silent knowing within you. The core message of this first step is this: your wealth does not begin in your bank account. It begins in your awareness. It begins the moment you realize that the financial reality you are experiencing is the physical manifestation of a set of beliefs you never consciously chose. This realization is not a cause for despair, but for immense hope. Because what was written can be rewritten, what was learned can be unlearned. The foundation that was laid by others can be cleared, and you can begin to pour a new one, a foundation built not on the inherited echoes of lack and limitation, but on the conscious, deliberate choice of abundance. The conflict you feel, the desire for more versus the guilt and fear of having it, is simply the grinding of old gears. It's the friction between your soul's expansive desire and the mind's restrictive programming. By walking into the vault, you are not there to fight the ghosts. You are there to inform them, with calm authority, that there is a new architect in charge now. Your work for now is not to earn, but to listen, to excavate, to illuminate. The power is not in changing the echo, but in finally hearing it for what it is, just a sound from the past, no longer the command for your future. Having walked through the echoing vaults of the mind and looked upon the inherited blueprints of lack, the first instinct is to fight. It is to tear up these old documents, to argue with the ghosts of the past, to use force against the ingrained limitations. But you cannot solve a problem with the same energy that created it. The energy of struggle, of resistance, of fighting, is the very energy of scarcity itself. To fight lack is to affirm its power. The next step, therefore, is not one of force, but of profound and subtle grace. It is to learn an entirely new language, a new physics of creation. It is to understand that the most powerful force in the universe is not action, but feeling. You must now learn to transact in the true currency of reality, the currency of vibration, of emotion. Your brain and your body have become accustomed to a certain way of being. For many, the state of financial worry is a familiar home. The low-grade hum of anxiety, the sharp pang of fear when an unexpected bill arrives, the tightening in the chest when looking at a bank balance, these are not just thoughts. They are chemical reactions. They release cortisol and adrenaline into your system. Over years, your body becomes addicted to this very chemistry of stress. It mistakes this painful familiarity for safety. The known, however unpleasant, feels safer to your primal brain than the unknown. Therefore, when you attempt to feel peaceful or abundant, your body may sound an alarm. It may flood you with anxiety, not because peace is dangerous, but because peace is unfamiliar. It is asking for its daily dose of worry, its chemical fix of scarcity. This is the biological reality of the inner conflict. It is a withdrawal from a chemical addiction to lack. Furthermore, your mind does not know the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a physically real one. When you spend your days rehearsing disaster, worrying about what might go wrong, replaying past financial mistakes, you are meticulously training your brain. You are conditioning it through sheer repetition to become an expert at identifying, seeking, and creating lack. Your brain has developed a powerful neural network for scarcity. It can spot a potential problem a mile away. It can find evidence for not enough in any situation. It has become a masterful detector of limitation. The work, then, is to retrain it, to consciously and deliberately build a new neural pathway, a network for abundance. You must become a masterful detector of opportunity, of gratitude, of enough. And this process begins not with what you think, but with what you allow yourself to feel. This is the great secret. The universe is a mirror, reflecting not what you want, but what you are. And what you are in any given moment is defined by your dominant emotional state, your energetic signature. Your thoughts are the arrows, but your feelings are the bow that gives them flight. You can think I am wealthy 1,000 times, but if you feel poor, if you feel the knot of anxiety in your stomach, the universe doesn't hear the words. It feels the knot. It responds to the vibration of lack and faithfully delivers to you more circumstances that will create that same feeling. Feeling is the prayer. The emotion is the magnetic force. The feeling of already having it is the signal that draws it to you. You must feel the feeling of the wish fulfilled before it manifests, not as a reaction to its manifestation. This is the shift from a creator who reacts to a creator who commands. Let us put this into practice. This is not about delusion or toxic positivity. This is a deep, somatic exercise in energetic alignment. We will call it feeling it first. For 5 minutes every morning, before the world has a chance to remind you of your old story, find a quiet place. Close your eyes. Do not try to visualize $1 million in your bank account or a new car in your driveway. The mind often rejects these big leaps as lies, triggering more resistance. Instead, ignore the specifics and search for the feeling. Begin with the feeling of relief. Imagine the single, overwhelming emotion you would feel if you knew with absolute certainty that all of your financial needs were permanently taken care of. What would that feel like in your body? Perhaps it's a profound exhale, a breath you feel you've been holding for years. Perhaps it's a melting sensation in your shoulders as a burden you didn't even realize you were carrying is finally set down. Linger there. Breathe into that feeling of pure, unadulterated relief. Your only job is to generate that feeling in your cells. Now, from that state of relief, search for the feeling of freedom. What is the emotional texture of true financial freedom? It is not about buying things. It is the freedom to choose. The freedom to say yes to an opportunity without first looking at the price tag. The freedom to wake up on a Tuesday and decide to go to the mountains. The freedom to pursue a creative project, not for money, but for pure joy. Feel that expansion in your chest. Feel the sense of open space, of an unburdened horizon. Let the feeling of freedom fill your entire awareness. Your body doesn't know you're just imagining it. You are feeding it a new chemical cocktail, the chemistry of liberation. Finally, tap into the feeling of ease, not the struggle of the climb, but the joy of the view, the feeling of flow, where things just work out, where the right people and opportunities appear at the right time. Imagine your life imbued with a sense of grace and synchronicity. How would that feel? Perhaps like floating in calm water, supported and held. Perhaps a gentle smile that rests on your face for no particular reason. This is the frequency of allowing, the opposite of the frequency of forcing and striving. This 5-minute practice is the most important financial transaction you will make all day. You are depositing the currency of abundant feeling into your energetic bank account. You are telling your body, your cells, your subconscious mind, this is our new home, this is our new normal. At first, it may feel strange. Your mind may wander. Your old anxieties may try to crash the party. That's normal. Simply notice them and gently guide your attention back to the feeling, back to relief, back to freedom, back to ease. Think of yourself as a radio tower. For years, you have been broadcasting a signal on the AM frequency of scarcity. It is a frequency filled with static, fear, and worry. And the universe, as a perfect receiver, has played back to you the song of scarcity. Now, you are learning to consciously turn the dial. The feeling at first practice is the act of reaching for the dial and slowly, deliberately, turning it towards the clear, resonant, beautiful FM frequency of abundance. When you first turn it, you will hear static as you move between stations. This static is your old conditioning, your body's resistance to the new feeling. Don't be discouraged by it. Your job is to keep turning, to hold your focus on the feeling until you lock onto that clear signal. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to find that station, and the longer you can stay tuned in. The old blueprints you discovered in the vault lose their power when they are no longer being fed by the emotional energy of fear. A belief like "I have to work hard for money" cannot survive in an energetic environment of ease and flow. A belief like "there's not enough" dissolves when you are marinating your cells in the feeling of absolute sufficiency. You are not fighting the darkness. You are simply turning on the light. And the light of a new feeling is what causes the shadows of old beliefs to vanish. This is the real work. It is the gentle, consistent, and deliberate cultivation of a new internal state. This state, this feeling, this vibration, this is the true magnet. It is the invisible force that will begin to reorganize your reality, drawing to you the people, the ideas, and the circumstances that are a perfect match for the new song you are broadcasting. You have begun the delicate work of retuning your inner world, of learning to broadcast the frequency of abundance through the currency of feeling. You are reaching for the dial, turning it away from the static of scarcity toward the clear signal of ease and sufficiency. Yet, you may find the signal is weak, distorted, or that you cannot hold it for long. This is because even a perfect broadcast from your radio tower can be blocked by obstacles standing between you and the receiver. The largest and most formidable of these obstacles is not in your future, but in your past. It is a great silent dam, built brick by brick from every financial mistake, every regret, every decision you wish you could undo. This dam holds back the very flow you are trying to generate. To truly liberate your new frequency, you must now turn your attention to this structure. You must learn to dissolve the dam. Beyond the debts recorded on paper, many of us carry a far heavier burden, an energetic debt. It is the debt of shame for a failed business, the debt of regret for a poor investment, the debt of self-blame for years of unconscious spending. These are not just memories, they are active, living energies trapped within your system. They are anchors cast into the waters of your past that keep your present self tethered to a vibration of failure. Every time you think, "If only I hadn't bought that house," or "if only I had taken that other job," you are pulling on the chain, tightening the anchor, and re-injecting the poison of yesterday's pain into the veins of today. This energetic debt pays a cruel interest rate, consuming your present moment awareness and creative power, ensuring that the future becomes a mere repetition of the past you so desperately wish to escape. This is more than just a bad habit of thought. It is a form of trauma. When a financial decision leads to significant pain loss, embarrassment, hardship, your nervous system records the event. It creates a powerful subconscious rule. Making a bold move with money leads to suffering, or trusting my judgment leads to disaster. This rule then becomes a silent guardian at the gate of your potential. Today, when a new opportunity appears, a chance to invest, to start a new venture, to ask for what you are worth, you are not truly reacting to the present situation. You are reacting through the filter of that past trauma. The anxiety you feel is not about the new opportunity, it is a memory of the old pain. The procrastination that sets in is not laziness. It is your nervous system's attempt to protect you from re-experiencing the disaster of the past. You have become frozen, a deer in the headlights of your own history, unable to move forward because a part of you is perpetually reliving the moment of impact. This creates an exhausting inner conflict, a life lived with one foot on the accelerator and one foot firmly on the brake. Your conscious mind, the visionary part of you, sees the open road ahead and says, "Let's go, let's create, let's build." But your emotional body, your subconscious keeper of past wounds, screams, "No, it is not safe. Remember the crash, remember the pain. Stay here where it's miserable, but at least it's familiar." You are a house divided against itself. You are trying to sail forward while staring intently at the wake behind your boat, wondering why you are making no progress. This internal schism drains your life force, making you tired, cynical, and resigned to a fate far beneath your true potential. You cannot build a new future while your primary emotional focus is on editing a past that cannot be changed. Here, we arrive at a pivotal truth. Forgiveness, in this context, is not a fluffy moral ideal. It is a deeply pragmatic, strategic tool for energetic liberation. To forgive yourself for past financial mistakes is not to say that those mistakes were okay or to let yourself off the hook. It is to make the conscious, powerful decision to stop poisoning your present with the venom of your past. It is the act of walking up to the chain that tethers you to the anchor of regret, and with the bolt cutters of radical acceptance, severing the link once and for all. Forgiveness is the declaration that the emotional debt has been paid in full, the lesson has been learned, and the sentence has been served. You are reclaiming all of the energy that was being used to keep the prison of the past intact, and you are bringing that power back into the only moment that exists, the only moment where you can create. Now, to make this release real and tangible, we must engage in a ritual. The subconscious mind responds powerfully to ceremony and symbolic action. This is the practice of the letter of release. Set aside a time when you will not be disturbed. Take a piece of paper and a pen. This is a letter to your past self, the version of you who made the decision you now regret. Address it to that person, to the me of 5 years ago, or to the younger me who took out that loan. Begin with compassion. Do not start with blame. Start by acknowledging the state of awareness that version of you was in. You might write, "I am writing to you today, the one who made that decision. I know you did the best you could. You were operating with the knowledge, the wisdom, and the emotional resources you had at that time. You were likely scared, or hopeful, or perhaps a little naive. And that is okay. Next, acknowledge the pain the decision caused, but from the perspective of a wise observer, not a victim. Describe the hardship, the lessons in humility, the nights of lost sleep, but do so without recharging it with the energy of blame. Just state the facts of the experience. Then comes the most crucial step. Find the gift in the wound. Every experience, no matter how painful, contains a seed of wisdom. What did this mistake teach you? Did it teach you resilience? Did it teach you the importance of due diligence? Did it teach you to trust your intuition more than the advice of others? Did it teach you that your worth is not tied to your net worth? Dig deep and find the treasure buried in the wreckage. Thank your past self for being brave enough to have the experience that delivered this powerful lesson. Thank you for teaching me what true security means. Thank you for showing me my own strength. The lesson was costly, but it was received. Finally, write the declaration of release. Make it official. And now, with the lesson fully integrated, I officially release you from any and all remaining debt of shame, guilt, or regret. I release myself from the burden of carrying you as a mistake. The emotional contract is fulfilled, the debt is cancelled, We are both now free to move forward, whole and complete. The last step is the physical act. You must destroy the letter. Do it safely, but do it with intention. Burn it and watch the smoke carry the old energy away. Tear it into the smallest possible pieces and release them into the wind or a running body of water. Bury it in the earth. As you perform this act, feel the lightness, feel the energetic chains dissolving. You are signaling to every cell in your body and to the universe itself that this chapter is well and truly over. The dam that has been blocking your flow was built from the concrete of past events, but it was held together by the mortar of unforgiven emotion. Each, if only, was another layer of reinforcement. The letter of release is the dynamite. The ritual of its destruction is the moment you push the plunger. At first, there may be a rush of turbulent emotion as the stagnant water behind the dam is finally freed. Let it come. It is the cleansing. And then, a new dynamic begins. The river, your life force, your financial energy, can now flow freely, powerfully, and cleanly into your present. It is no longer a stagnant, murky pond of regret, but a vibrant, life-giving current. By dissolving the energetic debt of the past, you have reclaimed your most valuable asset, a clear and powerful present moment from which all abundant futures are born. The river is flowing again. Now you must learn that you are worthy of receiving its gifts. The dam of your past has been broken, the stagnant waters of regret have been released, and the river of your life force, your potential, has begun to flow once more. A new, clean, and powerful current is moving into your present. But here, at the river's edge, another challenge arises, a more subtle and profound gatekeeper. As the life-giving waters of abundance rush toward you, you may find yourself hesitating, taking a step back, suddenly feeling afraid of the very thing you have worked so hard to release. This hesitation, this invisible barrier, is the gate of deservingness. The river is flowing, but you must now give yourself permission to drink. You must believe that you are worthy of its nourishment. Within each of us, signed in invisible ink long ago, is an unspoken contract. It is a silent agreement with the universe, a set of terms and conditions for our own value. For most of us, this contract was drafted not by our conscious mind, but by the hands of our childhood, our culture, and our collective anxieties. The clauses of this contract are insidious. Clause 1. Your worth is conditional upon your performance. Clause 2. Love and abundance must be earned through struggle and sacrifice. Clause 3. You are inherently flawed and must spend your life atoning for this original deficit. We have lived by the terms of this fraudulent contract for so long that we have mistaken it for reality. We believe that we must endlessly prove our worth, that abundance is a reward for good behavior, and that ease is a luxury reserved for others, for those who are somehow more valuable than us. The roots of this profound sense of unworthiness run deep. They may have taken hold in a childhood where praise was given only for achievement and love felt conditional on being good, quietly teaching you that your being was not enough. They may have been nurtured by cultural or religious narratives that glorify poverty and sanctify suffering, creating a deep internal conflict where the desire for wealth feels like a spiritual betrayal. To seek abundance in this framework is to be selfish, to be unholy, to abandon virtue. And so, we choose a state of noble lack as a perverse badge of honor. Unworthiness is also watered daily by the poison of comparison. In a world of curated perfection, we look at the success of others and see it as evidence of our own inadequacy. They deserve it, the inner voice says, because they are smarter, more disciplined, more charismatic, more something than I am. We place others on a pedestal of deservingness and ourselves on the floor of inadequacy, never realizing that the pedestal and the floor are illusions of our own making. This unspoken contract is the master of self-sabotage. It is the hidden governor on the engine of your success. When an opportunity appears that exceeds the level of abundance stipulated in your secret contract, your internal alarm system goes off. Breach of contract, breach of contract. This person is about to receive more than they are worth. And your subconscious mind, the loyal enforcer of your deepest beliefs, goes to work to restore the familiar equilibrium of not enough. You will suddenly feel an overwhelming urge to procrastinate on the very project that could lead to your breakthrough. You will say the wrong thing in a crucial interview. You will find a foolish way to spend or lose the extra money that comes your way. This is not you being weak or stupid. This is you being fiercely, unconsciously loyal to a contract you never even realized you had signed. It is the painful, tragic spectacle of a soul striving for the light while being shackled by a deep-seated belief that it belongs in the shadows. This is the source of that agonizing inner conflict. You do the work, you say the affirmations, you visualize the outcome. The universe, in its infinite grace, responds. It delivers the opportunity, the person, the check, right to your doorstep, and as you reach for the door, a cold wave of anxiety washes over you. A voice, your own voice, whispers, "Who do you think you are? This is a mistake. They'll find you out." This is the feeling of being an imposter in your own success story. It is a visceral sense of wrongness, a deep, cellular feeling that you are a fraud about to be exposed. The joy of the victory is instantly eclipsed by the terror of being unworthy of it. Now, let us bring the light of a powerful, liberating truth to this darkness. The entire premise of earning your worth is a fundamental lie. It is the greatest deception humanity has ever told itself. Your worthiness is not, and has never been, negotiable. It is not something you build, or earn, or achieve. It is your essence. It is inherent. It is absolute. The very fact that you exist, that you are drawing breath in this moment, is your non-revocable license to all the abundance the universe has to offer. You do not need to justify your existence. You do not need to prove your value through endless striving. Your worth was sealed, absolute and infinite, in the moment of your creation. Abundance is not a reward for the worthy. It is the default state of the cosmos, an endless ocean of well-being. It is we who have learned to stand on the shore, dying of thirst, believing we are not fit to drink. We must rewrite this fraudulent contract. And we do this, once again, with a simple, potent ritual. This is the practice of mirror work. Find a mirror, stand before it, close enough to look yourself directly in the eyes. Do not glance at your hair or your skin. Look past the physical features, into the pupils, into the consciousness behind them. This will likely feel uncomfortable. The eyes are a direct portal to the soul, and the ego is terrified of such direct confrontation. Hold your own gaze, and with as much conviction as you can muster, say the words out loud. I am worthy of all the abundance the universe has to offer. And then, be still. Do not look away. Notice what happens. Notice the desire to cringe, to laugh it off, to dismiss it as foolish. Notice the inner voice that immediately refutes it. No, you're not. Remember that mistake. Remember that failure. This resistance is the old contract fighting for its life. Do not fight back. Simply witness it. And with compassion for the part of you that is so scared, you hold your own gaze and you say it again. I am worthy of all the abundance the universe has to offer. Say it like a gentle, persistent rain falling on hard, dry ground. The first few drops may seem to do nothing, but with persistence, the ground begins to soften. Breathe through the discomfort. Keep repeating the words, looking into your own soul until something shifts. It may be a small flicker, a single tear, a momentary sense of peace, a moment where, for a fraction of a second, you believe it. That is the beginning of the revolution. The universe is the sun, a relentless, inexhaustible source of light, warmth, and energy. You are a tree, a flower, a single blade of grass upon the earth. The sun does not pause in its rising to question whether the flower is deserving of its light today. It does not audit the tree's performance to see if it has earned the rain that is to fall. The sun shines simply because it is its nature to shine. The rain falls because it is its nature to fall. The universe gives because it is its nature to give. Unworthiness is the human act of taking our own leaves and folding them inward, casting a shadow upon ourselves and refusing the very light that is our birthright. The work of deservingness is simply the work of uncurling our leaves. It is the act of straightening our stem, turning our face to the sky, and finally accepting the nourishment that has been endlessly, patiently waiting for us all along. By rewriting this unspoken contract, by looking yourself in the eye and declaring your own inherent value, you are performing the most profound act of creation. You are changing your fundamental relationship with reality. You are moving from the stance of a beggar hoping for scraps to that of a rightful heir, claiming your vast inheritance. You are no longer on the outside looking in. You are declaring that you belong. With this declaration, the gates of deservingness swing open. The fear of the river subsides, replaced by a joyful recognition. It is your river, after all. You are now ready to step in. The foundation of worthiness is now laid within you. The river of abundance, freed from the dam of the past, flows toward this solid ground. You have faced the shadows of your inherited blueprints and claimed your inherent right to receive. Now we begin to build. But a structure of true and lasting prosperity is not built by haphazard effort. It requires a sacred collaboration, a partnership between the two most powerful aspects of your creative self, the architect and the laborer. Your inner world, your aligned and visionary mind, is the architect. Your physical body, your capacity for action in the world, is the laborer. For too long, you have been sending the laborer out to work without a blueprint, and this is the root of all struggle. Our culture worships the laborer. It idolizes action, glorifies the hustle, and celebrates burnout as a badge of honor. We are taught from a young age to do something, to stay busy, to fill every moment with activity. This is what we can call scarcity action. It is action born from fear. Its underlying energy is the frantic whisper of, "I have to make it happen, or it won't happen." It is the energy of pushing a boulder uphill. It is heavy, depleting, and born from the belief that you are alone and that the universe is a passive or even hostile force that must be conquered. Scarcity action leads, inevitably, to exhaustion. It is the path of the depleted warrior who wins a battle only to find they have no energy left to enjoy the spoils. You know this feeling well. It is the weariness that sleep cannot cure. It is the result of immense effort, yielding minimal returns. It is the experience of the laborer, sent out with no plan, simply moving bricks from one pile to another, endlessly busy but building nothing that stands. There is another way. There is inspired action or aligned action. This is action born from trust. Its underlying energy is the calm, clear knowing of, this is the next right thing to do. It does not feel heavy, it feels resonant. It does not deplete you, it energizes you. Aligned action is the experience of putting up a sail to catch a wind that is already blowing. The effort is in the skillful alignment of the sail, not in trying to blow the ship forward with your own breath. This kind of action often appears after a period of stillness. It arrives as a sudden insight, a creative idea, an intuitive nudge, a synchronicity that opens a door. It feels less like you are forcing something to happen and more like you are a willing participant in something that is already unfolding. This is the path of the wise creator who co-creates with the intelligent flow of life itself. So why do we so often choose the path of struggle? Why does the panicked hustle feel more productive than quiet alignment? Because the ego, the part of you that identifies with the limited self, is terrified of stillness. To the ego, to be inactive is to be worthless, to be failing. It needs to do in order to feel that it exists and that it has control. Sitting in quiet trust, waiting for an intuitive signal, feels like a terrifying abdication of responsibility to the fear-based mind. And so, it urges the laborer into frantic, premature action. It tells you that your meditations are a waste of time, that your inner work is fine, but now you must get back to the real world of pushing and striving. It is the ego that keeps you on the treadmill, convincing you that the sheer speed of your legs is more important than the direction you are running. This creates a deep inner conflict between your soul's wisdom and your mind's conditioning. Your soul knows that all true power comes from the silent, formless realm within. It knows that the most effective action is the one that is guided by a deeper intelligence. It counsels patience. It urges you to listen. But your conditioned mind, addicted to the chemistry of stress and the illusion of control, screams for motion. It creates a to-do list a mile long, filled with tasks born of anxiety rather than inspiration. The result is a tense, conflicted state where you are torn between the impulse to force an outcome and the deeper desire to allow one to unfold. You are caught between the architect, who is asking for a moment of quiet to consult the master plan, and the panicked laborer, who is already mixing concrete with a sense of desperate urgency. The core message here is not to become passive. It is to become potent. And potency is born of alignment, not effort. The new, enlightened sequence of creation is not to act your way into a new state of being, but to be your way into a new form of action. First, you cultivate the being, the feeling state of worthiness and abundance. You tune your energetic frequency to the reality you wish to experience. Second, you listen. You turn your attention inward, creating a space of quiet receptivity for guidance to arise. And only then, third, do you act. You take the specific, inspired action that has been revealed to you in that state of alignment. An hour of aligned action is worth 1,000 hours of frantic hustle. When you are aligned, the universe conspires with you. Your efforts are multiplied. Obstacles seem to dissolve. You are no longer fighting the current. You have become the current. To bridge the gap between the architect and the laborer, to ensure your actions are inspired rather than anxious, you must establish a new daily ritual. This is the 5-minute alignment, the sacred meeting where the architect hands the blueprint for the day to the laborer. Before you check your phone, before you open your email, before you give your precious energy to the demands of the world, give the first 5 minutes to your inner guidance. Sit in silence. Close your eyes. Do not come with a problem to solve, but with an intention to receive. Bring to mind the feeling of your wish fulfilled, the relief, the freedom, the ease you cultivated earlier. Marinate in that feeling for a moment. Then, from that elevated state, ask a simple, open-ended question. What is the next, most aligned step for me today? Or, what action would serve my highest good and the highest good of all? Or simply, show me. Then, you listen. And this is key. You are not listening for a booming voice from the heavens. You are listening for the first quiet whisper, the first thought, image, or feeling that arises in the stillness. It may be surprisingly simple. Clean your desk. Finally, make that phone call you've been dreading. Go for a walk without your phone. Write 1 page of your proposal. The ego will often dismiss these small nudges as insignificant. It wants a grand, dramatic instruction. But inspired action is often subtle, gentle, and the first step in a chain reaction you cannot yet see. Trust that first, quiet impulse. It is the architect handing you a single, simple instruction for the day. Your job is not to question it or to ask for the next 10 steps. Your job is for the laborer to faithfully and trustingly carry out that one simple task. When you operate this way, your life begins to transform. The feeling of being overwhelmed subsides, replaced by a sense of clear purpose. You may find you are doing less, but accomplishing far more. This is because each action is now imbued with the power of your aligned intention. You have stopped wasting energy building crooked walls. Each brick you now lay is perfectly placed according to a master plan you trust, even if you cannot see it in its entirety. You are learning to work smarter, not harder. You are learning that the source of your power is not in the strength of your muscles, but in the clarity of your connection to the architect within. Your work is no longer a desperate attempt to fix a deficient reality. It becomes a joyful expression of the abundant reality you are already cultivating within. This is the secret of the master creator. Let the vision of the architect guide the hand of the laborer, and the structure you build will not only be magnificent, but it will feel as though it built itself. You are learning to act from a place of inspiration, to let the wisdom of the architect guide the hand of the laborer. Your actions are becoming aligned, potent, and purposeful. But even the most skilled laborer is rendered useless if his tools are broken. The most powerful and immediate tools you possess for the shaping of your reality are not the things you hold in your hands. They are the thoughts you hold in your mind and the words you release from your lips. Your consciousness is a sacred and powerful forge. It is here, in the heat of your attention and the fire of your language, that the raw material of potential is hammered into the hard reality of your experience. We must now become the master of this forge. We have been taught to believe that our words are passive descriptors, that they are harmless labels we attach to a reality that already exists. This is a profound and debilitating misunderstanding. Your words are not passive. They are active. They are creative. A word is a thought that has been given breath, given energy, given a vibrational command, and sent out into the quantum field. Every word you speak is a spell, a tiny but potent packet of intention that instructs the universe on what to bring you. When you say, "I am so tired," you are not merely describing a state. You are commanding your body to produce more tiredness. When you say, "This is impossible," you are not assessing a situation. You are casting a spell that shuts down all unseen pathways to a solution. And nowhere is this creative power more evident or more misused than in the language we use around money. Let us examine the common spells of scarcity, the casual hexes we cast upon ourselves daily without a second thought. The most common and corrosive of these is the phrase, "I can't afford it." On the surface, it seems like a simple statement of fact. But feel its energy. It is a declaration of finality. It is a wall, a dead end. When you utter these words, you send a direct command to your subconscious mind to stop working. You tell it to cease looking for creative solutions, to shut down its problem-solving functions, to accept defeat. You might as well say, "I am powerless in this situation." The very utterance drains you of agency and locks you into a reality where the object of your desire is, and must remain, outside of your reach. Consider another common phrase, "I'm broke." We often say it jokingly or as a form of social shorthand. But the two most powerful words in the universe are, "I am." Whatever follows those words is a direct instruction to the deepest part of your being about your identity. When you say, "I am broke," you are not describing a temporary lack of cash flow. You are claiming brokenness as a state of being, as who you are. Your subconscious mind, whose job is to prove your beliefs correct, hears this declaration and immediately goes to work creating experiences that validate your chosen identity. It will attract unexpected expenses, cause you to overlook opportunities, and ensure that your outer world perfectly mirrors your inner declaration of being broke. This extends to the constant, low-grade hum of financial complaint, grumbling about the price of gas, moaning about the cost of groceries, complaining about a bill that arrives in the mail. Each complaint, however small, is an affirmation of lack. It is an act of pushing against reality, creating a relationship of antagonism with the very energy of commerce and flow you wish to attract. You are training your mind to see money not as a neutral tool or a supportive friend, but as a source of stress, a constant problem, an adversary. Why would an energy that is treated as an enemy want to come and stay with you? It wouldn't. It will appear, cause stress, and then leave quickly, just as your words and feelings have commanded it to do. This creates a subtle but powerful inner conflict, especially in our social lives. Misery loves company. Bonding over shared financial struggle is a common, almost reflexive way of connecting with others. We commiserate about our debts, we complain about our jobs, we find solidarity in our shared lack. To refuse to participate in this ritual can feel isolating. When a friend complains about being broke, the socially conditioned response is to agree, to offer your own story of scarcity, to instead remain silent, or to gently reframe the situation can feel awkward, even arrogant. You are caught between the desire for social belonging and the discipline required of a conscious creator. You must choose whether to strengthen your bond with others by co-signing their reality of lack, or to strengthen your bond with the universe by steadfastly holding to a new vision, even if it means standing alone for a while. This brings us to the core message. Your word is your wand. Your language is not a mirror reflecting your financial state. Your language is the paintbrush creating your financial state. To fundamentally change your life, you must first fundamentally change your vocabulary. You must become a vigilant, even ruthless editor of the words that you speak and the thoughts that you entertain. You must begin to speak of money as if it is a beloved and reliable ally, a form of abundant energy that enjoys flowing to you and through you. Every word you utter is a choice. It is an investment, and you must ask yourself with every sentence, am I investing in the reality I desire, or am I investing in the reality I wish to escape? The most effective way to master this is to put yourself on a verbal diet. For 1 week, commit to a linguistic fast. Commit to allowing no words of lack, scarcity, or complaint to pass your lips. This is a profound exercise in mindfulness. You will be astonished at how often you are about to cast a negative spell out of sheer habit. Here is your practice. When you are tempted to say, I can't afford it, catch yourself, pause, and reframe it. You can turn it into a question that opens possibility. How can I create the resources for this? Or you can reframe it as a statement of conscious power. I am choosing to direct my financial energy elsewhere at this time. Feel the difference. The first is the statement of a victim. The second is the statement of a CEO of their own life. When the thought I'm broke arises, replace it instantly. My funds are in a state of flow and replenishment. Or I am in the process of generating wonderful new streams of income. When a bill arrives, instead of groaning, retrain your response. Look at it and say, thank you. I am grateful for the service this represents, and I have more than enough to handle this with ease and grace. This is not about lying to yourself. If the money isn't in your account, it isn't there. This is about refusing to identify with the temporary condition. It is about shifting your language from one that describes the current problem to one that commands the future solution. You are aligning your words with the reality you are calling forth, not the one you are trying to leave behind. Let us return to the forge of your mind. Your deepest beliefs are the raw, unformed iron ore. Your thoughts are the hammer blows, relentlessly shaping that metal on the anvil of your consciousness. And your spoken words, they are the fire and the water. The fire of your words heats the metal, making it malleable and open to change. And the water of your words tempers the metal, hardening it into its final durable form. Now, look at your life. Look at the reality you have crafted. With every thought you have thought and every word you have spoken, have you been forging the sharp, gleaming sword of your sovereignty, ready to carve a path to your dreams? Or have you been painstakingly forging heavy, rusted shackles to lock around your own ankles, binding you to the very spot you stand? The choice is, and always has been, yours. To master your language is to seize control of the forge. It is the sacred work of melting down the old, limiting structures of the past and beginning the craft of a new reality. Your words are the bridge between your inner world of feeling and your outer world of action. They are the living instructions you issue to the universe. As you begin to speak a language of abundance, of possibility, of gratitude, and of power, you will find the world beginning to obediently rearrange itself to match your new vocabulary. For you are not a reporter describing a world that happens to you. You are the poet, the author, the master smith, speaking and forging a world that happens through you. You now stand as the master of the forge, aware that your thoughts are the hammer and your words are the fire shaping the metal of your reality. You understand that the tools of creation are in your own mind and your own mouth. But this raises a profound and vital question. How do you know what to build? Amidst the noise of your own desires, fears, and the endless opinions of the world, how do you receive the divine blueprint for your own unique prosperity? The answer does not lie in thinking harder. It lies in listening deeper. To forge your destiny, you must first learn to consult the oracle, and this oracle resides not in a distant temple, but in the sacred stillness of your own intuition. We possess two distinct and powerful forms of intelligence. The first is the one our society prizes above all others, the rational mind. This mind is a magnificent biological computer. It is a calculator, an analyst, a strategist. It has been meticulously programmed throughout your life with data, your education, your past experiences, your successes, your failures, and every fear-based warning you have ever received. Its primary directive is survival. It functions by analyzing the past to predict and mitigate risk in the future. It is an invaluable tool for executing a plan, for figuring out the how, but it is fundamentally limited, for it can only operate on what it already knows. It cannot conceive of a possibility that does not logically follow from its existing data. The second form of intelligence is your intuition. This is not a function of the computer-like mind. It is an entirely different faculty of knowing. Intuition is your soul's direct connection to the universal mind, to the quantum field where all information, all possibilities, exist simultaneously. It does not operate on linear logic. It speaks in the language of feeling, of resonance, of gut-level certainty, of symbols and synchronicity. It is not about thinking. It is about a sudden, quiet knowing. Your rational mind is the ship's navigator, poring over old maps of where the ship has been. Your intuition is the captain on the watchtower, seeing the new, undiscovered lands on the horizon that do not yet appear on any map. The greatest financial decisions are made when the captain sets the destination and the navigator charts the course to get there. For too long, we have let the fearful navigator steer the ship, keeping us sailing in safe, familiar, and ultimately limiting circles. We have lost touch with this intuitive guidance system for one simple reason: we have drowned it out. The modern world is a grand conspiracy against silence. From the moment you wake, to the blare of an alarm, to the endless scroll of information on your phone, to the podcasts you listen to in the car, to the noise of the workplace, to the television you watch at night, your mind is in a state of constant input, constant agitation. There is no space, there is no stillness. The voice of the rational mind, which is often deeply entangled with the voice of fear, is loud, urgent, and relentlessly logical. It will present its case for the safe option with spreadsheets, pro and con lists, and 1,000 catastrophic what-if scenarios. It sounds responsible. It sounds smart. In stark contrast, the voice of intuition is a whisper. It is a gentle nudge, It is a quiet sense of yes about an opportunity that makes no logical sense. It is a subtle feeling of no about a deal that looks perfect on paper. It is a calm knowing that you should wait, even when the world screams that you must act now. In the cacophony of modern life and the shouting of the rational mind, this delicate whisper is almost always lost. We have been conditioned to dismiss it as fantasy, as wishful thinking, as an irresponsible impulse. We have been taught to trust only the loud, data-driven voice of reason, forgetting that its data is always and only from the past. This creates a painful inner conflict when you stand at a financial crossroads. Your mind, the navigator, spreads out its charts. It points to investment A. This is the safe bet, it argues. It has a proven track record. It is logical. It is what a sensible person would do. But your heart, your soul, the captain in the watchtower, feels a strange and quiet pull toward Path B. Path B is a new venture, an unproven idea, a creative risk. It makes no sense on paper. There is no data to support it. Your rational mind screams, danger, folly, turn back. To trust your intuition in this moment feels like stepping off a cliff into a fog, an act of sheer madness. To trust your rational mind feels like staying on solid, predictable, yet profoundly uninspiring ground. This is the ultimate battle, the choice between the safety of the known and the magic of the unknown, guided only by a whisper you can barely hear. Herein lies the transformational secret. The highest wisdom is not found in acquiring more external information, but in creating more internal silence. Silence is not empty. It is a state of pure potential. It is the canvas upon which the universe can paint its guidance for you. You must become a warrior of silence, deliberately carving out sacred pockets of stillness in your noisy life. For it is only in the quiet that you can hear the whispers of your own soul. Your intuition is your personal, infallible financial advisor, your direct line to an intelligence that sees the whole picture. Learning to hear it, and more importantly to trust it, is the master skill of all conscious creators. This requires a dedicated practice, a practice of sacred silence. This is not meditation with a goal to feel calm. This is a meeting with your inner board of directors. For at least 10 minutes each day, create a space of absolute non-stimulation. No phone, no music, no books, no distractions. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and let the world fall away. First, simply notice your breath. Feel the noise in your mind, the chatter, the to-do lists. Do not fight it, just observe it, as if you were watching clouds pass in the sky. Then, when you feel a little more settled, gently pose a question to the universe, to your higher self, to whatever source of wisdom you resonate with. Do not ask from a place of desperate need. Ask from a place of calm, respectful curiosity. What do I need to know today concerning my path to abundance? Show me the next step in the direction of greatest flow. What is the most loving and prosperous action I can take? And now comes the most important part of the practice. You let the question go. You release it completely. You do not strain to find an answer. Searching, analyzing, and trying to figure it out are the activities of the rational mind. Your job is simply to become a receiver, a satellite dish. You sit in the stillness and you listen to the silence itself. The answer may not come in those 10 minutes. In fact, it usually doesn't. The purpose of the silence is to tune your receiver. The answer will arrive later when you are in the shower, on a walk, or doing the dishes. It will come as a sudden, clear idea that feels different from your normal, circular thinking. It will feel light, simple, and obvious. It may also come externally, through a line in a book that seems to leap off the page, a chance conversation with a stranger, or an opportunity that appears out of the blue. The silence is what makes you capable of recognizing the signal when it arrives. Think of your mind as a vast mountain lake. The incessant noise of your thoughts and the world's input are the winds that constantly whip the surface of that lake into a choppy, turbulent frenzy. In this state, the lake can reflect nothing. Its surface is a distorted mirror of its own chaos. You cannot see the sky above, nor can you see into the clear depths below. The practice of sacred silence is the act of commanding the winds to be still. As you sit, the winds begin to subside. The frantic ripples slowly, gradually fade away. And then a miracle occurs. The surface of the lake of your mind becomes like glass. It becomes perfectly still, and in its stillness, it can now perfectly reflect the vast, infinite sky of universal wisdom, and it becomes transparent, allowing you to see for the first time into your own clear depths, to see the truths that have been there all along. By consciously making space for silence, you are making a radical declaration. You are stating that you trust the wisdom within you more than the noise outside of you. You are activating a dormant superpower. You are learning that the greatest analyst of market trends and the greatest predictor of future success is the still, small voice within. As you cultivate this relationship with your intuition, you begin to navigate your financial life not by the chaotic, ever-changing weather patterns of fear and popular opinion, but by the steady, silent, and unerring light of the stars in your own soul. This inner guidance system, this quiet knowing, is the true source of all lasting prosperity. As you begin to quiet the winds on the lake of your mind, as you learn to discern the quiet whispers of intuition from the loud shouts of fear, your perception of reality itself will begin to shift. You will start to notice a subtle, yet undeniable connection between your inner state and the events of your outer world. A pattern will emerge from what once seemed like chaos. You are beginning to awaken to one of the most profound and powerful laws of consciousness, the mirror principle. This principle states a simple, radical, and life-altering truth. Your outer world is not a solid, separate, objective reality that happens to you. It is a perfect, impartial, and instantaneous reflection of the sum total of your inner reality. Your bank account, your career, the people you meet, the opportunities that come or go are all simply a reflection of the man or woman looking into the mirror. This is a difficult truth to accept, because our ego has been masterfully conditioned in the art of victimhood. There is a strange and seductive comfort in blaming the external. To say, I am in this financial situation because of the economy, because of my boss, because of my upbringing, because of the government, is to absolve ourselves of responsibility. It gives us a story, a justification for our circumstances that keeps our ego intact. But this comfort is the most insidious prison ever devised, for if the cause of your situation is outside of you, then so is the power to change it. To be a victim is to be, by definition, powerless. The mirror principle invites you to abandon this comfortable prison and to step into the terrifying and exhilarating freedom of becoming the sole creator of your experience. Let us examine how this mirror works. It is not judgmental, it is not punishing or rewarding. It is a neutral feedback mechanism, as impartial as a law of physics. It simply shows you what is. If you hold a deep, perhaps unconscious, belief that money is always a struggle, the mirror of the world must reflect back to you events that confirm this belief. It will manifest as an unexpected car repair just as you save a little money. It will show up as a job where you are perpetually underpaid and overworked. These events are not punishments. They are the mirror faithfully reflecting the image of struggle that you are holding inside. If you harbor a hidden feeling of unworthiness, the mirror will reflect this by having you be overlooked for a promotion or by bringing you clients who haggle over your prices. The mirror is simply saying, here is the unworthiness you are projecting. Do you see it? Conversely, if you begin to genuinely cultivate a feeling of ease and deservingness, the mirror must also reflect that. You will find a $20 bill on the street. An old debt will be unexpectedly repaid. An opportunity will land in your lap that feels effortless and joyful. The mirror is now saying, "Here is the ease you are projecting. Do you see it?" The inner conflict this principle ignites is immense. It is the ultimate wrestling match between the ego and the soul. The ego will fight this truth with every fiber of its being. It will scream, "No, you don't understand. I was genuinely wronged. The system is rigged. That person did betray me." To the ego, accepting the mirror principle feels like blaming yourself, like saying the painful events you experienced were your fault. And so, it violently projects the cause outward. But the soul understands a deeper truth. It knows that fault and blame are irrelevant concepts. There is only cause and effect, and the primary cause is always the state of consciousness. It requires immense spiritual courage to withdraw our energetic projections from the world, to stop pointing the finger at people and circumstances, and to turn that finger back toward ourselves, not in blame, but in radical, empowered responsibility. The conflict is the choice between the familiar comfort of being a victim and the supreme, and at first unsettling, power of being a conscious creator. Here we arrive at the great turning point, the core message that changes everything. Stop trying to fix the reflection. It is an exhausting and utterly futile endeavor. You cannot wipe a frown off a mirror. You cannot argue with your reflection or negotiate with it to smile. You cannot shatter the mirror in a fit of rage, for you will only be left standing among the shattered pieces of your own angry face. The reflection is not the source of the image. The single solitary point of power and influence is the face looking into the glass. Your only work, your entire work, is to change your own expression. When you deliberately and consciously change your dominant inner state, your vibrational frequency, the reflection in the mirror of the world has no choice but to change. It is a law. It must. If you want to see joy, you must be joyful. If you want to see love, you must be loving. And if you want to see abundance, you must embody the feeling, the absolute certainty of abundance first. The world does not give you a reason to feel abundant. Your feeling of abundance gives the world a reason to show you its riches. To live by this principle requires a new practice. This is not a 10-minute exercise, but a new and moment-to-moment way of life. It is the practice of reading the mirror. From this day forward, when any event occurs in your life, especially a financial one, you must commit to a sacred pause. Before you react, before you celebrate, before you despair, before you blame, you are to become a neutral scientist of your own consciousness. You are to step back and ask one simple, powerful question. What belief or feeling inside of me is this situation reflecting back to me right now? When a client cancels, instead of anger, ask, what fear of rejection or instability inside me is this reflecting? When you feel a pang of envy at another's success, ask, what belief about my own limitations or the scarcity of success is this reflecting? When you receive an unexpected check, instead of just feeling fleeting happiness, ask, what recent shift in my feeling of openness or deservingness allowed this reflection to appear? This practice transforms your life from a chaotic series of random events into a perfectly curated and interactive classroom designed for your rapid evolution. Every person becomes your teacher. Every bill becomes your guru. Every setback and every victory becomes a clear and precise signpost, pointing you directly back to the contents of your own heart and mind. The world becomes your wisest and most compassionate guide. Imagine a person standing before a giant mirror, seeing a reflection of a tired, frowning, anxious face. Frustrated, they spend their days running around trying to convince the reflection to change. They plead with it, they yell at it, they throw things at it, only to grow more tired, more frowning, more anxious. Their effort is monumental, but their state only worsens. Now imagine a different person. They stand before the same mirror. They see the same tired, frowning reflection, but instead of engaging with the reflection, they ignore it. They know it is just an echo of the past. They close their eyes for a moment, take a deep breath, and deliberately, from within, generate a feeling of peace. They soften their own shoulders. They allow a gentle, authentic smile to touch their own lips. They open their eyes, and they hold that new expression with quiet confidence. And they watch with serene knowing as the reflection in the mirror seamlessly and effortlessly morphs to match the new truth of who they have chosen to be. This is the power and the promise of the mirror principle. It is perhaps the most challenging and ultimately the most liberating truth you will ever embrace. It demands that you abandon all excuses, all blame, all stories of victimhood. It demands that you stand in the full fire of your own creative power and take 100% responsibility for everything in your reality. When you finally do, the world ceases to be a frightening, unpredictable place. It becomes your canvas. It becomes your partner in a divine dance of creation. You stop looking outside of yourself for answers, for security, for your salvation. You turn your gaze inward, to the only place true power has ever been, and you ask yourself the only question that has ever mattered. Who am I choosing to be right now? The world is simply waiting to show you your answer. You now understand the foundational truth of the mirror principle. Your external world is a flawless reflection of your internal state. You recognize that arguing with the reflection is futile, and that all true power to create change lies within. The question then becomes a practical one. What is the most direct and potent way to change the face in the mirror? How do you shift your internal state from one of lack to one of abundance so profoundly that the world has no choice but to reflect your new reality? The answer is an action, but an action of a different kind. It is the sacred physical embodiment of trust. It is the practice of the open hand. It is the conscious engagement with the universal physics of flow, the law of giving and receiving. All energy in the universe, including the energy we call money, is meant to be in motion. Energy that is moving is alive, vibrant, and expansive. Energy that is stagnant becomes dead, heavy, and contractive. Think of a river. A flowing river is full of life, oxygen, and power. It carves new landscapes and nourishes everything along its banks. Now think of a stagnant pond, cut off from its source. The water becomes murky, lifeless, a breeding ground for decay. The scarcity mindset, born of fear, seeks to turn the river of abundance into a private pond. It believes that by hoarding, by damming the flow, it can secure its own safety. It operates from the logic of a closed system. There is only so much, and I must hold on to my share. This is the logic of the clenched fist. It is a posture of defense, of fear, of a deep-seated belief in limitation. The abundance mindset operates from a completely different understanding of reality. It knows that the universe is an open, endlessly flowing system, and that the true source of wealth is not the money itself, but the connection to the infinite wellspring of creation within. It sees money not as a thing to be hoarded, but as a current to be participated in. The posture of this mindset is the open hand. It is a posture of trust, of release, of generosity. The open hand does not grasp. It allows energy to flow in, and it allows energy to flow out, knowing that it is all part of one great, continuous circulation. The clenched fist suffocates the very prosperity it seeks to protect. The open hand creates a vacuum that the universe, by its very nature, must rush in to fill. Herein lies one of the most intense inner conflicts on the path to prosperity. It is the battle between the logic of fear and the physics of faith. Imagine you have a little extra money, the voice of the clenched fist, the voice of your old scarcity programming, speaks with loud, seemingly responsible logic. It screams, Hold on to it. Be smart. You don't know what emergency is around the corner. Giving it away would be reckless, foolish. This voice feels safe. It feels prudent. Then another voice speaks, a much quieter one. It is the voice of the open hand, the whisper of your higher self. It says, let it go, let it flow. Use it to bless someone else. Demonstrate your trust in the current. This voice feels terrifying. It defies all conventional logic. It asks you to perform an act of faith that your fear-based mind decries as madness. To give from your perceived lack is the ultimate test. It is the choice between remaining a prisoner of your circumstances or becoming the creator of your reality by acting in defiance of them. This brings us to the immutable core message. You cannot receive with a clenched fist. The universe cannot place its gifts, its opportunities, its riches into a hand that is closed tight in a posture of fear and refusal. The act of giving is not about charity, nor is it a moral duty. It is a powerful, strategic declaration to the universe. It is a physical affirmation. When you give, especially when you feel you don't have much to spare, you are sending the most potent possible signal to the mirror of the world. You are declaring with your actions, which speak far louder than words, I have enough. I have more than enough. I am not a container of lack. I am a conduit for abundance. And the mirror, which can only reflect what is, must begin to organize itself around this new, powerful truth. It must bring you evidence to support your declaration of more than enough. Giving is the act of priming the pump of prosperity, demonstrating your faith that the well will never run dry. This must become a joyful, conscious practice. We will call it intentional giving. The amount is utterly irrelevant. The energy behind the act is everything. Giving $1 with a heart full of joy, trust, and a feeling of genuine abundance is infinitely more powerful than giving $10,000 with a feeling of resentful obligation or for the sake of appearances. The universe does not respond to the number on the check. It responds to the vibration in your heart. So, begin to look for opportunities to practice. Tip your waiter a little more generously than usual. Buy a coffee for the person standing in line behind you. Anonymously leave a small amount of money for someone you know is struggling. Donate to a cause that truly moves your heart. But remember, giving is not limited to money. You can give your focused, undivided attention to someone. You can give a genuine, heartfelt compliment. You can give your expertise or your time to help someone solve a problem. The universe does not differentiate between these forms of energetic output. It is all the act of an open hand. The key to this practice is to focus on the feeling during the moment of release. As the money leaves your hand, as the compliment leaves your lips, as you dedicate your time, pause and feel the sensation of your own richness. Feel the expansive joy of being a source, a fountain, a blessing. Do not allow your mind to immediately wonder how or when it will come back to you. To do so is to turn giving into a transaction which negates its power. Your only job is to revel in the feeling of the outflow. Trust that the universe, in its own perfect timing and in its own mysterious ways, will handle the inflow. It will often return to you from a completely unexpected direction, for you have been giving not to a person, but to the universal flow itself. Think of abundance as being like your own breath. You cannot live by only inhaling. If you only took air in, hoarding it in your lungs, you would quickly find yourself in distress. Your lungs would become painfully full, the air would grow stale and toxic, and your system would suffocate. This is the state of the hoarder, of the clenched fist seemingly full, yet dying from a lack of flow. To live, you must exhale. You must release the air you have taken in. The exhale is the act of giving. It is a necessary and natural release. And what happens the moment you have fully exhaled? A vacuum is created. Your body, without any conscious thought, is compelled to take another breath in, and a generous, complete exhale allows for a deeper, more satisfying, more life-giving inhale. This is the physics of abundance. Giving is the great exhale. It is the act of releasing your attachment to what you have, creating the space for more to come in. The more freely and joyfully you exhale, the more deeply and powerfully you can inhale. You are learning to breathe with the lungs of the universe. You are learning that the fastest way to have is to be, and the most powerful way to be abundant is to act abundantly. By choosing the open hand over the clenched fist, you are aligning yourself with the great cosmic rhythm of life. You cease to be a stagnant pond of fear, and you become a vibrant, flowing river of prosperity, nourishing yourself and blessing the world as you move with joyful trust toward the infinite ocean of Source. You have learned to stand in your power as the creator of your world, understanding that reality is a mirror of your inner state. You have begun the sacred practice of the open hand, engaging with the universal physics of flow by giving freely, knowing that this act is a profound declaration of your own abundance. You have done the work. You have tilled the soil of your subconscious mind. You have planted the seeds of your intention, and you have watered them with the energy of elevated emotion. And now you arrive at the most advanced, the most subtle, and perhaps the most difficult practice of all, the art of detachment. Having done everything you can do, you must now learn to do the one thing that feels the most counterintuitive. You must learn to let go. Detachment is not apathy. It is not indifference or a lack of desire. It is the conscious and graceful release of your obsessive grip on the outcome. It is the radical decoupling of your inner peace from the arrival of your external manifestation. It is the profound shift from a state of needy, anxious wanting to a state of serene, confident knowing. It is the unwavering faith that once you have properly placed your order with the universe, the delivery is not only on its way, but it is taking the most perfect and efficient route possible. Your need to micromanage the delivery is the very thing that sends the driver down the wrong road. The ego, your survival-oriented mind, finds this concept intolerable. Its entire existence is predicated on control. It believes, if I am not worrying about this, if I am not constantly checking for progress, if I am not trying to force it into being, then it will all fall apart. And so, after a period of beautiful inner work, the ego steps back in as the anxious micromanager. It begins to constantly look for signs. It checks your bank account 10 times a day. It analyzes every conversation for a hidden clue. It dictates the timeline. It must happen by next month. It dictates the method. It must come through this specific job or this specific person. This energy of attachment is a tense, grasping, constricting force. It is the energetic equivalent of a white-knuckled grip, and what it signals to the universe is not confidence, but profound doubt. It is a declaration of distrust. Every time you anxiously check for your manifestation, you are energetically screaming, "I don't believe it's really coming, so I have to keep checking up on you." This contradictory signal creates a powerful resistance, a vibrational static that blocks and repels the very good you are trying to attract. This gives rise to a torturous inner conflict, the war between faith and doubt. A part of you, the higher self that did the work, is at peace. It knows the seed is planted. But another part, the fearful ego, becomes the anxious farmer. It runs out to the field every hour. It gets down on its hands and knees and shouts at the soil. Is it growing yet? What's taking so long? It digs up the delicate seed with its fingernails to see if roots have sprouted, mortally wounding the fragile new life in the process. It looks to the sky and curses the lack of rain. It looks to the sun and complains that it is not shining brightly enough. This is the state of anxious waiting. It is a form of self-inflicted torture that poisons the entire creative process. The conflict is between the part of you that has surrendered the outcome to a higher power and the part that refuses to believe that power can be trusted to do its job without your constant, fearful supervision. This leads us to the serene and powerful core message. Your responsibility is the what and the why. The universe's responsibility is the how and the when. Your job is to get crystal clear on what you desire and to align your energy with the feeling of it already being yours. That is the extent of your work. To obsess over the method and the timing of its arrival is a profound act of spiritual arrogance. It is you, the painter, telling the master chemist how to mix the colors. It is you, the architect, telling the laws of physics how to hold up the walls. To truly allow your desire to manifest in its most perfect form, you must release your grip. You must surrender your need to control the process. You must plant the seed of your clear intention in the fertile soil of unwavering faith. And then, you must have the wisdom to walk away and let the forces of creation do their work. To make this act of release a concrete and powerful ritual, you can create a cosmic mailbox. Find or create a small, beautiful box, one that feels special to you. This is your physical portal for releasing your desires to the universe, your direct line to the cosmic delivery service. When you have a desire you wish to manifest, take a piece of paper, write it down with clarity and feeling. Focus on the end result, the what, and the feeling it will give you, the why. Do not specify the how. Write it not as a desperate plea, but as a grateful confirmation, as if it has already happened. I am so deeply grateful and joyful now that I am living in my beautiful new home that feels peaceful and secure. Then, fold the paper. As you fold it, imbue it with all the positive emotion you can muster. Place it in the box. Close the lid. This physical act is a powerful symbol to your subconscious mind. You have mailed the letter. The order has been placed. Now, say out loud, the delivery is assured. My work here is done. The ongoing practice is this. Whenever you find your mind starting to worry or obsess about that specific desire, you are to immediately bring the image of your cosmic mailbox to mind. You see your letter safely inside, and you remind yourself, it's in the mail. It is being handled by a power far greater than my own. Your only job now is to turn your attention back to the present moment and to cultivate a state of joy, peace, and trust, independent of the outcome. You must find your happiness now, not in the future when your desire arrives. This happy, peaceful state is what keeps your vibration high and makes you a match for a swift and joyful delivery. Think of the wise farmer. He does not plant a seed and then sit in the field staring at the patch of dirt for 3 months. That would be madness. He prepares his soil with care, your inner work. He selects a healthy seed and plants it at the proper depth, your clear intention. He gives it an initial watering, your emotional energy. And then, he lets go. He trusts. He turns his attention to other tasks on the farm. He mends fences. He cares for his animals. He lives his life in a state of confident expectation, knowing that the sun, the soil, the rain, and the sacred intelligence of life itself are all conspiring beneath the surface to bring forth the harvest. He knows that his worrying will not make the seed grow faster, but his neglect of the rest of his farm will surely lead to ruin. He trusts the process. Detachment is this trust. It is the final and most crucial ingredient in the alchemy of creation. It is the quiet confidence of the farmer. It is the serene faith that your part is complete and a greater power is now handling the logistics. By releasing your desperate need to control how and when your abundance arrives, you are creating the very space and freedom the universe needs to orchestrate the people, the events, and the synchronicities required to deliver your desire to you in the most magical and unexpected ways, often far better than you could have planned yourself. You graduate from being an anxious, controlling micromanager to being a serene and powerful co-creator. You have planted your garden. You have mailed your letters. Now, your only remaining task is the most pleasant of all, to simply live your life in the present moment, with an open heart and a peaceful mind, and to trust the coming harvest. It is, and always was, assured. You have planted the seed of your desire in the garden of the cosmos, and have learned the subtle art of detachment, trusting the universal forces to orchestrate the harvest. This state of trust, this serene confidence, is not passive. It is rooted in a deep, unshakable faith. But it is not just faith in the universe. It must be a parallel faith in your own capacity. To truly trust that abundance is flowing toward you, you must know, in your very bones, that you are a worthy and capable vessel for it to flow into. The rain of prosperity may fall for everyone, but it can only be collected by the container that is prepared to receive it. This brings us to the crucial work of building that container. It is the work of becoming the person who attracts wealth, not as an effort, but as a natural consequence of who you are. For too long, the central question that has driven humanity's search for wealth has been, how can I get more money? This question, however, is born from the energy of lack. It presupposes that money is a separate thing outside of you that must be pursued, captured, and acquired. It places you in the position of the hunter, chasing a prize that is always running away. This is the path of struggle. The money magnet mindset operates from a completely different and infinitely more powerful question. It does not ask what you can get. It asks who you can become. The fundamental principle is this: money is not attracted to neediness, it is attracted to value. Money is simply a neutral symbol of energy exchanged between people. It is a certificate of appreciation for value provided. Therefore, the direct pursuit of money is a misguided quest. The true and noble quest is the relentless cultivation of your own value. What is value? It is far more than the skills listed on your resume. Value is your capacity to solve problems for others. It is your ability to create beauty, to inspire joy, to bring order to chaos, to offer a service that makes someone's life easier or better. It is your character, your integrity, your reliability. It is the energy you bring into a room. It is your resilience in the face of setbacks and your grace in the face of success. It is the total sum of your being. From this perspective, the path to wealth is not a financial strategy. It is a path of profound personal development. You do not attract what you want. You attract who you are. Your external financial world is always a lagging indicator of your internal state of value. Here we encounter a pivotal inner conflict, the gap between passive wishing and active becoming. It is easy to want more money. It requires no effort to lie in bed and dream of a larger bank account, but it is uncomfortable to do the work required to become the person who naturally generates and commands that level of wealth. The ego, in its love for comfort and inertia, will produce 1,000 excuses. I don't have time to take that online course. I'm too tired after work to read a book that challenges me. Exercising is boring. Why should I have to change? The world should just pay me more for who I am. This resistance to growth is a direct resistance to wealth. The ego wants the prize but is unwilling to train for the race. It wants the harvest without the willingness to cultivate the soil of the self. This is the conflict between your desire for a new reality and your attachment to your old self. You cannot have both. To experience a new level of abundance, you must consent to become a new version of yourself. This is the core message, the truth that will set you free from the chase. Stop focusing on getting, start focusing on becoming. Your primary project is not your portfolio, it is you. Your life's work is to build yourself into a larger, deeper, stronger, and more valuable vessel. When you do this, you will find that the universe, which abhors a vacuum, will naturally rush in to fill the magnificent new space you have created. You will no longer have to chase opportunities. Opportunities will chase you. You become a magnet, not because you are using a technique, but because your very essence, your expanded value, has an undeniable gravitational pull. This requires a conscious and practical commitment. This is your value investment strategy, and it will yield returns far greater than any stock or bond. You must schedule non-negotiable time in your week for value deposits. This is your sacred time for self-expansion. Consider the different accounts in the Bank of You where you can make these deposits. First, there is your skill value. In what practical ways can you become better at what you do or learn to do something new? This could be enrolling in an online course, mastering a new piece of software, practicing a craft until you achieve excellence, or learning the art of sales or negotiation. This is the work of sharpening your tools so you can deliver more effective results to the world. Second, there is your knowledge value. Value is not just about doing, it is about thinking. Read books that stretch your mind, study subjects outside of your immediate field, learn about history, philosophy, art, science. A broad and curious mind can make connections and see opportunities that a narrow, specialized mind cannot. The more you know, the more dots you can connect in innovative and valuable ways. Third, and perhaps most importantly, is your physical value. Your body is the vessel of your consciousness. It is the instrument through which you deliver all your other value to the world. If it is tired, sick, and depleted of energy, your value is diminished, no matter how skilled or knowledgeable you are. Making a deposit into this account means committing to better sleep, nourishing food, and regular movement. A healthy, energetic body amplifies your magnetism and your capacity to serve. Finally, there is your character value. This is the work of honing your integrity, your empathy, your reliability, and your communication skills. Can people count on your word? Are you an active, present listener? Do you treat everyone with respect, regardless of their status? A person of high character is immensely valuable and rare, and people are naturally drawn to work with, buy from, and invest in them. Think of yourself as a vessel, a container for the abundance of the universe. If you are a tiny cup, you can stand in the middle of a torrential downpour and only ever collect a cupful of water. You can splash and struggle and curse the storm for not giving you more, but the limitation is not the storm, it is the size of your vessel. The person next to you who has spent their life building themselves into a massive reservoir can effortlessly collect a river's worth of the same rain. They are not luckier, they are simply larger. Every book you read, every new skill you learn, every healthy habit you cultivate, every act of integrity you perform is an act of expanding your vessel. You are increasing your capacity to contain the abundance that is already falling, everywhere, for everyone. The journey to wealth, then, is revealed to be the most noble journey of all, the journey of self-realization. It is not about getting more, but about becoming more. As you shift your focus from the external prize to your internal growth, a profound peace settles upon you. The desperate, needy energy dissolves, replaced by a quiet, confident sense of your own expanding worth. You stop chasing the butterflies of money and instead turn your attention to cultivating a magnificent garden within your own soul. And you will find, with a sense of wonder and grace, that the butterflies have started to come to you, drawn by the irresistible fragrance of the value you have become. As you dedicate yourself to the sacred work of building your own vessel, of consciously increasing your own value, a natural and beautiful side effect begins to occur. Your gaze, which may have once been perpetually scanning the horizon to see what others were doing, slowly begins to turn inward. The frantic need to measure your progress against the progress of others starts to subside. This is a sign of profound growth, for you are beginning to awaken from one of the most pervasive and painful illusions of the scarcity mindset, the illusion of competition, You are learning that to thrive, you must stop looking sideways and focus solely on your own unique and sacred path. The entire concept of competition is built upon a single foundational lie: the belief that resources, opportunities, and success are finite. It is the dogma of the limited pie. This belief system posits that life is a zero-sum game. For every winner, there must be a loser. If someone else gets a large slice of the pie, your slice is inherently smaller. This mindset automatically places you in an adversarial relationship with the world, forcing you to view your fellow human beings not as collaborators on a shared journey, but as rivals in a desperate race for a limited prize. This is the absolute peak of scarcity consciousness, and it is the source of immeasurable anxiety, envy, and suffering. Let us dissect the poison of comparison. In our hyper-connected world, it has become a constant, low-grade form of self-torture. We scroll through the highlight reels of other people's lives, measuring our ordinary moments against their curated triumphs. This act triggers a toxic emotional cocktail, a mixture of admiration for what they have, resentment that we do not have it, and a deep, sinking feeling of our own personal inadequacy. This painful emotion we call envy is not just a character flaw, it is a diagnostic tool. Envy is a powerful signpost that points directly to two things. First, the sincere desires of your own soul, and second, the areas where you feel you are lacking in your own value or progress. It is a painful signal that you have abandoned your own path to stare at someone else's. From this competitive framework, the success of others is perceived as a direct threat. When a colleague gets the promotion, the immediate thought is, "They took my spot." When a friend launches a successful business, the unconscious reaction is, "They used up the good idea I might have had." When you see someone living a life of freedom and abundance, the scarcity mind whispers, "They got lucky. There's less luck to go around for me now." You are living in a self-imposed reality of limitation, where every victory for another human being feels like a personal defeat. This creates a brutal inner conflict. Intellectually, you may have read the books and heard the teachings. You may consciously agree with the idea that the universe is abundant and there is enough for everyone. But then you log on to your social media, or you get a piece of news from a friend, and you are hit with a visceral, gut-level pang of jealousy. That feeling is real. It is the conditioned, reflexive response of your old scarcity programming. The conflict is the war between this ingrained biological reaction of the tribal mind, "Am I being out-competed?" and the expansive spiritual wisdom of the soul that knows a different truth. The challenge is not to shame yourself for feeling the envy, but to consciously use it as a catalyst, to perform the sacred alchemy of transmuting the poison of comparison into the fuel of inspiration. This leads us to the liberating core message, a truth so profound it can shatter the entire paradigm of competition. No one can take what is divinely meant for you. Your journey is unique. The specific constellation of gifts you carry, the purpose encoded in your soul, and the precise form of abundance that is destined for you have your energetic signature all over them. They cannot be delivered to the wrong address. They belong to you. Therefore, the energy you waste looking over your shoulder at the person in the next lane is precious fuel you are stealing from your own engine. It is a distraction from your own sacred duty. Your only competition is the person you were yesterday. Your only race is against your own limiting beliefs. Your sole focus must be to become a more expanded, more valuable, and more divinely aligned version of yourself than you were the day before. To put this into practice, you must learn the art of blessing their success. This is the powerful alchemical process that transforms the lead of envy into the gold of abundance. The next time you witness another person's success and feel that familiar, painful sting of comparison, the first step is not to resist or deny the feeling. Acknowledge it with neutral awareness. Ah, there is the voice of the scarcity program. I see you. Do not judge it, just see it. Then, take a conscious breath and deliberately shift your energy. Silently in your mind, or even out loud if you are alone, bless that person. Say, I celebrate your success. I honor the vision, the courage, and the aligned action that brought this achievement to you. Thank you for being a pioneer. Thank you for showing me what is possible in this abundant universe. I receive your success not as a threat, but as a promise and a harbinger of my own. Do you feel the energetic shift in this practice? You move instantly from a contracted state of lack, they have what I don't, to an expansive state of shared abundance. Look at the wonderful things that are possible. You reframe that person from an adversary who has taken something from you into a trailblazer who is clearing the path for you. Their success becomes proof, not a problem. It is evidence that the universe is indeed generous, and that people who align themselves with its principles receive its rewards. Their victory is a signpost confirming you are headed in the right direction. Imagine the night sky filled with billions of stars. Each one is a blazing sun, radiating its own light, its own heat, its own unique spectral signature. Does it make any sense to think of one star being in competition with another? Does the star Vega dim its own light because it feels the star Sirius is shining too brightly? Of course not. A star's purpose is not to outshine its neighbors. A star's purpose is to fully and completely express its own nature from its own fixed point in the cosmos. Its job is simply to shine. You are a star. You have your own unique gifts, your own divine timing, your own perfect orbit within the great constellation of humanity. To compare your brightness, your position, or the speed of your journey to any other star is a fundamental misunderstanding of your own cosmic purpose. Your only task is to draw upon the infinite fuel at your own core and to burn as brightly and as authentically as you possibly can. Transcending the illusion of competition is a hallmark of spiritual and financial maturity. It liberates an immense reserve of creative energy that was previously being squandered on the useless and painful activities of comparison, envy, and worry. You begin to understand that we are all part of one interconnected field of consciousness. The success of another does not diminish the field, it enriches it. The rising tide of abundance truly does lift all boats. You learn to find your lane, to run your race, to shine your light. And you do so with a newfound joy and peace, knowing that your path is protected, your success is assured, and that what is truly yours can never be taken from you. You are here not to compete, but to create. As you learn to run your own race, to draw your gaze away from the distracting paths of others and focus on the sacred journey within, you will require a sustainable and powerful fuel. Inspiration is a wonderful catalyst, but it can be fleeting. Ambition is a powerful engine, but it can lead to burnout. There is, however, one source of energy that is infinite, self-regenerating, and available to you in every single moment, regardless of your external circumstances. It is the anchor that holds you steady and the fuel that propels you forward. It is the profound and transformative power of gratitude. But we must redefine gratitude. It is not merely a polite platitude or a passive feeling of thanks. It is the master key of conscious creation. It is a form of spiritual alchemy with the power to transmute the lead of your current reality into the pure gold of abundance. To understand the power of gratitude, you must first understand the default setting of your own mind. The human brain is a magnificent survival machine, honed over millions of years. For your ancestors, survival depended on the ability to constantly scan the environment for threats, problems, and deficits. Is there a predator in those bushes? Is there enough food for the winter? Is there a weakness in our shelter? This negativity bias is hardwired into your neurology. Your mind is a world-class expert at finding what is wrong, what is missing, and what might be a threat. In the modern world, this ancient programming manifests as a chronic focus on lack. It scans your life and immediately highlights the bills, the debts, the things you can't afford, and the goals you haven't yet reached. It is a masterful fault finder. Gratitude is a conscious and, at first, forceful act of rebellion against this programming. It is the discipline of commanding your mind against its primal instinct to stop scanning for what is wrong and to deliberately search for what is right. It is the practice of looking at the same life, the same circumstances, but choosing to see through a different lens. Each time you genuinely feel a moment of gratitude, you are forging a new neural pathway in your brain. You are quite literally retraining your mind, teaching it a new skill, the skill of noticing blessings. With enough repetition, this becomes its new default. Your brain, once an expert in finding lack, becomes a master at identifying abundance. This is where a deep inner conflict arises for many. When circumstances are genuinely difficult, the practice of gratitude can feel inauthentic, even delusional. The ego mind, the voice of your inner critic, rebels. It says, "Be grateful? For what exactly? Should I be grateful for this mountain of debt? For this job that drains my soul? For this feeling of being stuck?" The ego demands that the external world must change first, and then, maybe, it will offer up a feeling of gratitude as a reward. It operates on the principle of, "I will be grateful when. I'll be grateful when I get the raise. I'll be grateful when my business takes off." This is the great misunderstanding. It is putting the cart before the horse. The spiritual law is the exact opposite. It is, "I am grateful now, so that." This is the core message, the alchemical secret that you must grasp with your entire being. Gratitude is not the celebration you have after you win the victory. Gratitude is the energetic state that guarantees the victory. It is the most powerful frequency you can broadcast into the universe because the feeling of genuine gratitude is vibrationally identical to the feeling of having already received. When you are truly thankful for something, you are in the state of having. You are sending a clear, powerful signal to the mirror of the world that your prayer has already been answered. The universe, which can only match your dominant vibration, then has no choice but to bring you more experiences and circumstances that will match your grateful state. Gratitude is not a response to a gift received. Gratitude is the magnetic force that draws the gift to you. This requires a simple, profound, and non-negotiable daily practice. It is the foundation upon which your new mind will be built. At the beginning of your day, before the world rushes in, or at the very end of your day, as a final sacred act, take a journal. This is your gratitude ledger. Your task is to write down 3 to 5 specific things for which you are genuinely grateful. Specificity is crucial. A vague "I'm grateful for my life has little power, but I am deeply grateful for the taste of the hot coffee I could afford this morning, and the feeling of warmth it gave me has immense power." Apply this with rigor to your financial life. Even in times of struggle, especially in times of struggle, you must train your mind to find the evidence of abundance that already exists. I am so grateful for the internet connection that allows me to learn and seek opportunities. I am grateful for the clothes on my back, which keep me warm and presentable. I am so grateful for the specific skill I have that allowed me to earn the money I did today. I am grateful for the roof over my head, a sanctuary of safety and peace. When you pay a bill, instead of feeling the pain of money leaving, retrain your response. Feel gratitude for the service. The bill represents the electricity that powered your home, the food that nourished your body. And here is the most important part of the practice. Do not just make a list. The magic is not in the words on the page. It is in the emotion in your heart. For each item you write, close your eyes for a moment. Go back to that experience and regenerate the feeling of thankfulness. Let the warmth of it spread through your chest. The feeling is the alchemical agent. The list is just the recipe. The emotion is the fire that cooks the meal. This is how gratitude becomes your philosopher's stone. Imagine your current circumstances are a pile of dull, heavy lead. They are what they are. Complaint and worry only make the lead feel heavier. But when you touch that lead with the catalyst of genuine gratitude, a transmutation begins. That single coin left in your pocket, when viewed through the lens of complaint, is a leaden symbol of your poverty. When you touch it with gratitude, I am so deeply thankful for this coin. It is a symbol of the universe's constant support. It is the seed of my fortune. It is no longer lead. In your energetic reality, which is the only reality that matters, it has become gold. You are now holding a treasure. You are vibrating at the frequency of treasure. And the universe, which responds not to the objective fact of the coin but to your vibrational truth about it, must now bring you more treasure. This is how you turn what you have into enough. And the unwavering law of the cosmos is that the one who has enough is always given more. Gratitude is not a denial of your challenges. It is the activation of the divine power that will dissolve them. It is the sustainable fuel that allows you to stay anchored in your own lane, focused on your own growth, and immune to the corrosive effects of comparison. By deliberately choosing to see your life, your work, and your money through the lens of gratitude, you become an alchemist of your own experience. You are no longer waiting for the world to give you a reason to be happy. You are giving the world the undeniable reason of your own happiness, your own thankfulness, to bring you more of what you desire. You become a master, turning the lead of every circumstance into the pure, shining gold of a prosperous life. You have learned to walk your own path, fueled by the profound alchemy of gratitude. You are training your mind to see the gold in every experience, to feel the presence of abundance even before it fully manifests in your outer world. This is a beautiful and powerful state. But it is also, at first, a delicate one. Your old mental habits, the well-worn grooves of worry, doubt, and distraction are like powerful currents that will constantly try to pull you back into their familiar flow. To protect the fledgling state of your new consciousness, to guard the sacred garden you are cultivating, you must now step into a new role. You must become the wise and firm ruler of your own inner world. You must ascend the throne and claim your power as the discipline of the inner monarch. Inspiration is a wonderful guest. It arrives in a flash of light, bringing gifts of energy and insight. But inspiration is a notoriously unreliable visitor. Discipline, however, is a resident. Discipline is the one who stays home, keeps the fires lit, and maintains the order of the house, day in and day out, whether inspiration decides to visit or not. Your mind, left to its own devices, follows the universal law of entropy. It tends toward disorder. Left unsupervised, it will naturally drift back to its old, comfortable patterns. It will find something to worry about. It will get hooked by a mindless distraction on your phone. It will indulge in a familiar emotional reaction of anger or frustration. This is the path of least resistance, the lazy river leading back to the swamp of your old reality. Self-discipline is the conscious, consistent, and deliberate effort to hold a higher frequency, especially on the days you do not feel like it. It is the loving force you apply to counteract the pull of mental gravity. It is the understanding that your moods, feelings, and fleeting thoughts are not in charge. You are. Every time you choose to meditate instead of hitting the snooze button, you are exercising your royal authority. Every time you choose to read a book that expands your mind instead of scrolling through a feed that numbs it, you are issuing a royal decree. Every time you catch yourself spiraling into a negative story and choose to consciously shift your focus, you are demonstrating who truly rules the kingdom. This creates a daily, moment-to-moment inner conflict. It is the perpetual battle between the comfort of the old habit and the conscious effort of the new alignment. It is late at night. You are tired. The easy, comfortable path is to fall into a rabbit hole of online videos, flooding your consciousness with chaotic, low-vibration information right before you sleep. The disciplined path, the path of the monarch, is to recognize your fatigue, put the device away, spend 5 minutes in grateful contemplation, and prepare your mind for a night of restorative peace. The ego will always argue for the easy path. It will whisper, "You're tired. You deserve a break." This doesn't matter. But the soul knows the truth. Everything matters. Every small choice is either an abdication of your throne or a strengthening of your reign. The conflict is between the instant gratification that keeps you stuck and the disciplined action that builds the future you desire. This leads us to the essential and empowering core message. You are the sovereign ruler of the kingdom of your mind. For too long, perhaps, the throne has been empty. Anarchy has reigned. Fear has acted as a tyrannical warlord. Comparison has been a whispering gossip poisoning the court. Distraction has been a court jester, stealing your attention and your energy. The time has come for the true monarch to return. You must ascend the steps, take your seat on the throne, and benevolently, but firmly, take command. This is not about becoming a harsh inner critic or suppressing your emotions. A wise ruler does not execute every citizen who disagrees with them. A wise ruler establishes laws, maintains order, and guides the energy of the kingdom toward a common, noble purpose. You must decide which thoughts are granted citizenship in your mind and which are politely but firmly escorted to the border. You must determine which emotions are allowed to run riot in the streets and which are to be brought before the throne, heard with compassion, and then transformed into a more productive force. You are not the helpless victim of your inner world. You are its rightful and powerful ruler. To exercise your authority, you need a simple, immediate tool. This is your royal scepter, the tool you use to instantly restore order when you sense an uprising in the kingdom. It is the pattern interrupt, the 1-minute coronation. The moment you feel the chaos beginning a spiral of worry about the future, a surge of anger from a past memory, the magnetic pull of a useless distraction that is your signal, that is the call to the throne. In that very moment, stop what you are doing. It does not matter where you are. Pause, close your eyes if you can. Take one single, deep, and conscious breath. For the next 60 seconds, your only job is to become the silent watcher. Imagine yourself seated on your high throne, looking down from a protected balcony at the chaotic scene unfolding in the courtyard of your mind. See the fearful thoughts running back and forth. See the angry emotions shouting. See the gestures of distraction trying to get your attention. But you do not descend into the courtyard. You do not engage. You do not argue. You do not judge. You simply watch from your seat of power as the ruler who is separate from the chaos. This 1-minute act of detached observation is profoundly powerful. It breaks the neurological spell of the pattern. It unhooks you from the emotion. It cuts the power supply to the negative thought loop. It instantly re-establishes you in your rightful place as the calm, conscious observer, not the frantic participant. You remember who you are. You are the monarch, not the mob. From this quiet seat of power, the chaos begins to lose its energy. The shouts become whispers. The frantic running slows to a walk. Order begins to restore itself simply through the power of your royal presence. And from this calm center, you can then make a new, conscious choice about where to direct the energy of your kingdom next. The metaphor of the kingdom is your guide. An undisciplined mind is a kingdom in ruin. The throne is vacant, and the land is ruled by whichever loud-mouthed warlord or charming charlatan happens to be passing through. Your resources, your precious time, energy, and focus are plundered daily. But when you, the true monarch, Take your seat. Everything changes. You begin to issue loving decrees. In this kingdom of my mind, we shall no longer entertain thoughts of lack or unworthiness. You manage your borders. We will no longer allow an unfiltered stream of fear-based news and gossip to cross into our lands. You care for your citizens. This feeling of sadness is acknowledged. It is welcome to rest here for a short time, but it will not be allowed to rule. Self-discipline is not a punishment you inflict upon yourself. It is the highest and most profound form of self-love. It is the unwavering commitment to protect your own inner peace. It is the compassionate act of creating an internal environment where your soul can flourish. Discipline is the sturdy bridge between knowing the principles of prosperity and actually living them, day in and day out, especially on the days when it feels hard. By taking the throne of your mind, you cease to be a slave to your moods and habits, and you become their wise and gracious sovereign. You create an inner kingdom of order, peace, and high vibration, and the mirror of the world has no choice but to reflect this back to you as a life of ever-increasing abundance. True wealth is impossible without true self-governance. Your kingdom awaits. Take your throne. As you ascend the throne of your inner kingdom, establishing a benevolent rule over your thoughts and emotions, a new clarity begins to dawn. You start to see beyond the frantic illusions of the world and perceive the deeper nature of things. This newfound clarity allows you to pierce one of the most fundamental misunderstandings of our culture, the very definition of wealth itself. Society has taught you to see wealth as a destination, a safe harbor to be reached. But the wise monarch within you begins to see the truth. Wealth is not a harbor, it is a current. It is not a place to arrive, but a force to align with. The conventional view of wealth is the harbor mentality. It sees prosperity as a finite number, a specific amount of money to be accumulated in a bank account. The goal is to fill this harbor with as many ship's dollars, investments, assets as possible, and then to build a great wall around it, protecting it from the outside world. This entire mindset, though it may lead to the accumulation of great sums, is born from and perpetually creates fear. The owner of the small harbor fears it will never be full. The owner of the great, overflowing harbor lives in an even greater state of anxiety. They fear pirates in the form of unexpected expenses. They fear leaks in their ships in the form of inflation. And they fear great storms in the form of market crashes that could sink their entire fleet. Their happiness is held hostage by the number of ships in the harbor. Every ship that sails out, for any reason, is seen as a loss, a source of pain, a crack in the fortress wall. There is a more powerful, peaceful, and prosperous way. It is the current mentality. This mindset does not see wealth as a thing to be possessed, but as an energy to be channeled. It sees abundance as a great and mighty river, flowing eternally from an infinite source. The goal is not to dam the river to create a private, stagnant lake. The goal is to become the widest, deepest, most beautifully sculpted riverbed, allowing the powerful current to flow through you. Your security, in this paradigm, does not come from the amount of water currently passing through your section of the riverbed. Your security comes from your unshakable faith in the existence of the source, the great, inexhaustible mountain spring from which the river is born. The focus shifts from the fearful act of keeping to the joyful act of flowing. This reveals a deep inner conflict between our primal survival instinct and our higher spiritual wisdom. The survival instinct, the ego, is the builder of harbors. It believes that security lies in accumulation, in walls, in fortresses of cash. It wants to hoard resources against a potentially hostile future. It sees the world as unpredictable and dangerous, and it seeks to build a buffer against that danger. And this is not entirely wrong. It is simply an incomplete and fear-based truth. The soul, your higher self, knows that true security can never be found in that which can be lost. True security lies in your internal state of being. It is the absolute knowing that you are a creator, that you are a vessel of value, and that your connection to the infinite source of the current can never be broken. The conflict is between clinging desperately to the cup of water in your hands or turning to face the entire ocean from which it came. This leads to a profound reorientation of your life's purpose. The goal is not to have a large bank account. The goal is to become a person through whom the universe delights in flowing large amounts of resources. Your aim is to become such a clear, valuable, and trustworthy conduit that the energy of wealth moves through you with ease and grace, nourishing you deeply while also flowing out to bless the world. Your security is no longer in your balance sheet. It is in your being. It is in your skills, your character, your creativity, your discipline, your connection to intuition. It is in the knowledge that even if the river were to run dry for a season, you know how to summon the rain because you understand that you are not separate from the source of all things. You are the riverbed, not the dam. To embody this new understanding, you must change your relationship with the most common financial act: spending. For the harbor-minded person, every act of spending is painful. It is a loss. It is a ship sailing away, never to be seen again. You must retrain this response. You must adopt the practice of conscious spending. From this day forward, every time you exchange money for a good or a service, you are to see it not as a loss, but as a conscious act of participating in the universal flow. Whether you are buying groceries or paying your rent, you are presented with a choice. You can release that money with a contracted heart, with a feeling of, there goes more of what I don't have enough of. Or you can release it with an expanded heart, with a feeling of trust and gratitude. At the moment of payment, perform a silent, internal ritual. As the money leaves your possession, either physically or digitally, say to yourself, I release this with joy and gratitude. I bless it on its journey as it circulates out to support and enrich the lives of others. I know that as I give, I open the space to receive, and that this energy will return to me multiplied and from expected and unexpected sources. Or, use a simpler affirmation: there is always more where that came from. Do you feel the energetic difference? One is an affirmation of lack. The other is a powerful declaration of your trust in the infinite, ever-flowing current. This practice systematically rewires your nervous system, transforming spending from an act of pain into an act of faith. Imagine a person who dedicates their life to building a massive dam to create the largest possible private lake. For years they toil, and they succeed. They have a vast, still body of water. They feel secure. But soon, because the water has no inlet or outlet, it begins to stagnate. Weeds grow, the water becomes murky, the life within it dies. The owner of the lake lives in constant fear of a crack in their dam, of their precious, hoarded resource leaking away. The very monument to their security becomes their greatest source of anxiety. It is a dead wealth. Now imagine a different person, one who chooses to live on the banks of a great, flowing river. They do not own the river, they cannot possess it, but they can joyfully interact with it. They can build a water wheel to generate power for their home. They can draw from it to irrigate their fields, creating a lush and abundant garden. They can swim in its cool, fresh current on a hot day. They live in a dynamic, respectful relationship with the flow, deeply trusting that the river, fed by the mountains and the rain, will always be there. Their security is not in their ownership of the water, but in their intimate relationship with the current. Theirs is a living wealth. This is the freedom that awaits you when you shift your perspective from the harbor to the current. You are released from the prison of fearing loss. Your relationship with money is transformed from one of anxious servitude to one of joyful partnership. You understand that true wealth is not a static number, but a dynamic movement. It is the vital, life-giving flow of energy through a life that has been intentionally built upon a foundation of value, trust, and purpose. Your grand ambition is no longer to become a stagnant reservoir of riches, but to become a magnificent, ever wider riverbed, through which the endless current of cosmic abundance can rush, shaping and nourishing your world and the world of everyone you touch. As you cease your struggle against the river of life, as you learn to trust its current and become a willing conduit for its flow, your senses will begin to sharpen in a new and extraordinary way. When you are no longer consumed by the effort of fighting the water, you have the freedom to notice the subtle patterns on its surface, the direction of the birds flying overhead, the quality of the light on the horizon. These are the signals, the guideposts, the language of the river itself. In the same way, as you align with the current of abundance, you begin to enter into a conscious dialogue with the universe. You start to notice its whispers, its winks, its secret language. You begin to decode the beautiful and reassuring messages communicated through signs and synchronicities. A synchronicity, a term first explored by the psychologist Carl Jung, is a meaningful coincidence. It is an event in your outer world that is not causally related to your inner world, yet is profoundly and meaningfully connected to it. It is the universe bending reality in a small way to let you know that it hears you, that it is aware of your intentions, and that you are on the right path. It is the experience of thinking of an old friend you haven't spoken to in a decade, only to have them call you an hour later. It is the moment you set a clear intention to find a mentor, and the very next day you sit next to the perfect person on a train. It is the phenomenon of seeing repeating number sequences 11, 11, 222, 888 on clocks and license plates every time you are contemplating a major financial decision. These are not random accidents. They are messages. Your rational mind, trained and conditioned by a materialistic worldview, will fight this concept vigorously. The ego has been taught that the universe is a cold, dead, mechanical place, a collection of random particles governed by chance. It will immediately supply you with dismissive explanations. That was just a coincidence. You're just experiencing confirmation bias. You're noticing it more because you're thinking about it. Don't be irrational and superstitious. The ego resists the idea of a responsive, intelligent universe, because if the universe is a partner in your success, then the ego is no longer the solitary hero of the story. Its sense of absolute control is diminished. It prefers the illusion of a random world it must conquer to the reality of an intelligent world it must collaborate with. This creates a powerful inner conflict, the battle between logic and magic. Your head, your conditioned mind, tells you to be sensible and to dismiss these events as meaningless noise. But your heart, your soul, feels a thrill, a spark of wonder, a deep and resonant feeling of goosebumps that says, "This means something." It is the conflict between a worldview that is logical but ultimately disenchanted and dead, and a worldview that requires a leap of faith but is alive with magic, meaning, and a sense of profound connection. To step fully into your power as a creator, you must be willing to choose magic over mechanics. You must be willing to entertain the possibility that you are in a living, breathing, responsive reality that is constantly speaking to you. The core message is this: the universe is not a silent void. It is a conscious, intelligent partner in your becoming. It is always whispering to you, always leaving you clues, always offering you confirmation and guidance. The problem is not that the universe is silent. The problem is that we have forgotten how to listen. Your work is to retrain your awareness, to tune your perception to this subtle and beautiful frequency. You must learn the language of the cosmos, and its language is one of symbols, gut feelings, and meaningful coincidences. When you begin to notice these signs, you are not becoming superstitious, you are becoming sensitive. You are waking up to the interactive nature of reality. To cultivate this new sensitivity, you must begin to document the dialogue. You will create a synchronicity journal. This is your personal logbook of the conversation between you and the cosmos. Get a notebook dedicated solely to this purpose. When a synchronicity occurs, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, you are to record it. Your entry should have 3 parts. First, the intention or inner state. What was I thinking, feeling, or asking for just before the event happened? For example, I was feeling unsure about a new business idea and asked for a sign that I was on the right track. Second, the synchronicity itself. Describe the event with simple facts. 2 hours later, while walking downtown, a large truck drove past me. On its side was painted a giant eagle with the slogan, "Soar to New Heights." Third, the feeling and interpretation. How did it make you feel in your gut? What do you believe the message was for you? I felt an immediate jolt of energy and a sense of absolute certainty. The message was a clear and direct confirmation. Pursue the idea. It has the potential to soar. Recording these events is a profoundly powerful practice. On any given day, your rational mind can easily dismiss a single event. But when you look back through your journal over weeks and months, and you see dozens, even hundreds, of these coincidences all lining up and responding directly to your inner state, your rational mind's skepticism begins to crumble under the sheer weight of the evidence. You are building an undeniable case for the existence of a magical, responsive reality. You are proving to yourself that you are seen, heard, and constantly guided. Think of the universe as a vast, invisible wind. You cannot see the wind itself. It is formless, unseen, a pure force. To stand in an open field and try to see the wind is an act of folly, but you can see the leaves on the trees. When you see a field of grass bend in unison, when you see the leaves of a great oak tree begin to rustle and dance, you know with absolute certainty which way the invisible wind is blowing. You don't need to see the wind itself to trust its presence and its direction. Signs and synchronicities are the rustling of the leaves. They are the visible evidence of the invisible currents of the universe at play. Your intuitive nudges, the chance encounters, the repeating numbers, the perfect song on the radio at the perfect time, these are all showing you which way the great wind of spirit is blowing through your life. Your job is not to try and force the wind to blow. Your job is to become a master observer of the leaves. When you see them all pointing in one direction, you have the wisdom to put up your sail and move with the current rather than trying to row against it. As you learn to decode this language, the feeling of being alone in your struggles dissolves. You realize that you are in a constant, loving, and supportive dialogue with a vast and benevolent intelligence that genuinely wants you to succeed. Your life transforms from a lonely monologue of effort into a beautiful, graceful dialogue of co-creation. You ask, and the universe answers. You set an intention, and the universe provides feedback. You feel lost, and the universe sends a signpost. By learning to read the signs, you learn to trust the flow, because you can now see the evidence that proves the current is real and that it is carrying you exactly where you need to go. You are no longer guessing. You are being guided. The dialogue has begun. You have learned to speak the language of intention and listen for the universe's reply in the form of signs and synchronicities. The river's current is now guiding you, and the first tangible results of your inner work are beginning to appear on the shores of your reality. An unexpected opportunity, a creative idea that flows with ease, a sum of money from a surprising source. A sense of magic and momentum is building. But it is here, on the threshold of this new and promising land, that a formidable shadow from your past rises to challenge you. It is a ghost of your former self, whispering a single poisonous word: imposter. This is the final gatekeeper before you can truly inhabit your new reality. The imposter syndrome of abundance. This is not the common fear of professional inadequacy. This is a deeper, more existential doubt. It is the feeling that you are an actor playing the part of a wealthy, successful person, and at any moment, the audience will realize you are a fraud and chase you from the stage. It is the deep-seated belief that your newfound success is not a reflection of your new inner state, but a temporary fluke, a lucky break, a cosmic error that will soon be corrected. You have created a new reality, but you have not yet fully consented to a new identity. This feeling arises because your old identity, the person who struggles, the person who never has enough, was a role you played for years, perhaps for decades. That character has deeply worn neural pathways in your brain and a powerful energetic momentum. It feels familiar. Its anxieties, though painful, are the normal you have always known. This new identity, the person who is at ease with wealth and success, is a newborn. It is fragile. It lacks the reinforcement of time and repeated experience. So when tangible success arrives, your old identity looks at this new evidence and cannot compute. It sees the success as a foreign object, an anomaly that doesn't fit its narrative of lack. In an attempt to maintain its own existence, the old identity launches an attack. It whispers, "This isn't real. You didn't earn this. You're going to lose it all and be exposed as the failure you've always been." This can lead to a bizarre and tragic pattern of self-sabotage, where one unconsciously creates a mistake or a problem to bring reality back into alignment with the familiar, comfortable misery of the old identity. This creates a painful and confusing inner conflict. You receive the good news, the contract is signed, the payment has arrived, the opportunity is confirmed. There is a genuine initial surge of pure joy and excitement, but it is quickly followed by a cold wave of anxiety. A knot forms in your stomach. The thought, "This is too good to be true," echoes in your mind. You find it difficult to fully celebrate your victory because you are subconsciously waiting for the other shoe to drop. You are living in two worlds at once: the new, abundant reality you have manifested, and the old internal identity that refuses to believe it belongs there. This is the ultimate inner tug-of-war, the conflict between what you have created and who you still believe yourself to be. To resolve this conflict and claim your new life, you must embrace the principle of divine embodiment. You cannot wait for your external reality to be 100% perfect before you grant yourself permission to fully inhabit your new identity. You must claim it now. You must consciously choose to live from the perspective of the abundant, successful person you are becoming, even if there are still remnants of the old reality around you. It is a deliberate and conscious act of acting as if. This is not a form of deception to fool others. It is a powerful, energetic technique to convince the most important person of all, yourself. You must live your way into the new identity until it is no longer an act, but your most authentic and natural state of being. This requires a daily practice of conscious choice-making. We will call it the practice of acting as if. Throughout your day, at every decision point, you are to pause and ask yourself a simple, powerful question. How would the highest, wealthiest, most empowered version of myself handle this? Then, you must have the courage to act on the answer. This applies to the smallest decisions. You are at the grocery store. The old you might buy the cheap, processed food out of a habit of scarcity. You pause and ask the question. The abundant you would surely invest in the vibrant, organic food that nourishes and energizes the precious vessel of their body. So you buy the better food, not as a splurge, but as a declaration of your new identity. You are at home in the evening. The old you might spend an hour complaining to a friend about your problems. You pause and ask the question. The successful you would use that hour to read, to learn, to plan, to invest in your own growth. So you make that choice. It applies to your emotional responses. You experience a minor setback. The old you would spiral into worry and victimhood. You pause and ask the question. The empowered you would see it as a temporary challenge, a feedback mechanism, and would handle it with calm, creative problem solving. So you choose to respond from a place of trust and resilience. It applies to how you carry yourself. How would the abundant you walk? How would they speak? How would they treat the waiter, the cashier, the janitor? They would surely move with a calm confidence, a quiet dignity, and a generosity of spirit toward all. So you embody that physical and emotional posture. Each choice you make is a vote. You are either casting a vote for the persistence of your old identity, or you are casting a vote for the embodiment of your new one. Each aligned choice strengthens the neural pathways of the new you. Think of a butterfly that has just fought its way out of the chrysalis. Its former life as a slow, earthbound caterpillar is over. It has undergone a total transformation, but it is not yet a master of its new form. Its wings are wet, crumpled, and weak. In this fragile state, it clings to a twig, vulnerable. It cannot yet fly. The memory of being a safe, simple caterpillar might even feel tempting, but its destiny is in the air. So what does it do? It must consciously begin to act as if it is a creature of flight. It must deliberately pump the fluids of its body into the veins of its wings, strengthening and unfurling them. It must begin to practice, awkwardly at first, flapping them. It must trust the function of these new appendages before it has any proof that they will work. It is through this persistent act of embodying its new form that the wings dry, the muscles strengthen, and the clumsy flapping becomes the graceful, effortless dance of flight. It no longer remembers what it was like to crawl. It has become that which it was always destined to be. You are this butterfly. Your inner work was the chrysalis. Your first successes are your emergence into the light. Now is the time to consciously and deliberately inhabit your wings. It requires courage to act like the person you are becoming before the mirror of the world has reflected that new identity back to you in its entirety. But it is this very courage that accelerates the reflection. By consistently choosing to think, feel, speak, and act from the perspective of your highest self, you are closing the gap between who you have been and who you are destined to become. You stop feeling like an actor wearing a costume and you merge with the role, until you realize with a profound sense of relief that there was never a costume at all. You were simply remembering the magnificent truth of who you were all along. You have stepped into your new identity. The wings of the butterfly, once wet and fragile, are now strong, dry, and ready. You have practiced your flight, owning the truth that you are a being of abundance, capable and worthy. You are soaring in the open air of your new reality, no longer bound to the earth of your former self. But as you soar, a new and essential question arises. It is no longer a question of capability, but one of direction. It is no longer, can I fly, but rather, where shall I fly? This is the call to purpose, the sacred invitation to direct the powerful energy you now command toward a meaningful destination. Wealth without purpose is one of the most insidious traps on the spiritual path. It is the hollow victory. It is climbing the highest mountain only to find the summit empty, cold, and windswept, offering no fulfillment, only a view of more mountains to climb. The landscape of human experience is littered with the stories of those who achieved great financial success only to fall into a state of profound emptiness, boredom, or a desperate cycle of hedonism. They discovered a tragic truth. A life dedicated solely to the accumulation of comfort and pleasure for the self eventually fails to satisfy the soul. The soul does not yearn for comfort, it yearns for meaning. It does not crave consumption, it craves contribution. There is a powerful, energetic reason for this. The universe is not a bank vault, and its primary interest is not in helping you create a large, stagnant pile of money. The universe is a dynamic, creative, and expansive force. Its fundamental impulse is to grow, to express, to create, to evolve. When your desire for wealth is attached to a purpose that is larger than your own, needs a purpose that contributes to this cosmic impulse of creation and service, your desire gains an immense magnetic power. A small desire to buy a new car has a small magnetic pull. A grand desire to build a school, to fund research that could heal a disease, to create a business that provides meaningful employment, or to create art that uplifts the human spirit has a cosmic magnetic pull. You are no longer asking the universe to simply serve you. You are offering to partner with the universe in serving the whole. And the universe always, without fail, generously funds the projects that are aligned with its own creative agenda. This presents a new and higher level inner conflict. The ego, having achieved a measure of success, naturally wants to indulge. It desires the symbols of status, the comforts, the pleasures. It says, I have worked so hard for this, I have overcome so much, I deserve to just relax and enjoy it. There is nothing inherently wrong with this desire. Enjoyment is a beautiful part of the abundant life. But if this remains the sole purpose of your wealth, it becomes a gilded cage. Your soul, on the other hand, begins to stir with a deeper question. What is this all for? Now that I have these resources, what can be created? What problem can be solved? What beauty can be brought into the world? What legacy can be left behind? The conflict is between using your resources for mere personal maintenance and pleasure versus deploying them as a creative force for contribution and meaning. Here we arrive at a vital, clarifying truth. Money is an amplifier. It is a form of pure, neutral energy that will simply make you more of who you already are. If you are an insecure person, more money will only amplify your insecurities, giving you more to worry about and protect. If you are a fearful person, more money will simply give you a larger domain of things to fear losing. But if you are a person of purpose, a person with a clear and heartfelt mission, money will become the rocket fuel for that mission. It will amplify your ability to create, to contribute, and to serve. Therefore, the most powerful financial strategy is not a financial strategy at all. It is to first find your purpose, and then to let that purpose become the great why that magnetizes the how. Do not seek wealth so that you can one day find a purpose. Discover your purpose, and you will create a powerful, energetic vacuum that pulls all the resources you need toward you. To do this, you must engage in the most important strategic planning session of your life. This is the practice of defining your why. Take your journal to a quiet place where you feel inspired. At the top of a fresh page, write this question: if time and money were no object, if I had billions of dollars and all the support I needed, what problem would I dedicate my life to solving? What would I build? What would I create? Who would I serve? What contribution would my soul yearn to make? Allow yourself to dream without limits. Forget about the how. Do not censor yourself with thoughts of practicality. This is an exercise in listening to the deepest, most authentic calling of your heart. Is it to protect the oceans, to build communities for the homeless, to create beautiful music that heals the soul, to innovate a new technology that solves a global problem, to be a world-class teacher who empowers children? Write freely. Write until you feel a jolt of emotional resonance, a feeling of, yes, this is it. This is what I am here to do. This answer, or series of answers, becomes your purpose statement. This is your North Star. This is the why that will give your wealth a soul. Read it every day. Let it infuse your goals with meaning. Your desire for $1 million is no longer a selfish want. It becomes the necessary operating budget for your sacred mission. Let us revisit the metaphor of the great river of abundance flowing through your life. If you have no purpose, this mighty river flows past you, through you, and eventually empties out into the vast, impersonal ocean where its power dissipates and evaporates into the atmosphere. The flow is impressive, but it nourishes nothing in a lasting way. It is wealth for its own sake, a spectacle without a point. But the person of purpose becomes a master of divine irrigation. You look at this powerful current flowing through your life, and you begin to consciously and deliberately design and dig channels to direct its flow. You decide that one channel will irrigate the fertile fields of your family's security and well-being. Another, smaller channel will water a personal garden of your own creative joys and pleasures. But then, you begin to dig a great canal, directing the main force of your river toward a vast, dry and barren land that the world has neglected. And with the life-giving water of your resources, your time and your energy, you transform that desert into a lush oasis. You create gardens, you bring forth a harvest, you build a community, you generate life. You have used your river not just for your own sustenance, but as a tool of conscious creation and service. This is the ultimate secret of the money magnet. Purpose is what transforms a simple desire into an irresistible magnetic force. It aligns your personal will with the divine will of the cosmos. When your primary motivation shifts from "what can I get from the world" to "what can I give to the world," the universe recognizes a true partner and opens its floodgates. You no longer need to worry about attracting wealth because you are so consumed with the joy of your mission that wealth becomes a secondary detail, a necessary resource that is naturally and effortlessly drawn to the gravity of your great purpose. You have found your wings, you have learned to fly, and now, with a clear and noble destination burning in your heart, your flight truly begins. Your purpose is now clear. Like a great river, the current of your abundance flows through you, directed by your intention to irrigate and nourish the lands you have chosen to serve. The synchronicities are frequent, the inner guidance is strong, and your identity as a capable, worthy creator is solidifying. Life is good. There is a sense of peace, of having fought a great battle and finally reached a place of safety and satisfaction. And it is here, in this beautiful sunlit clearing, that you will face the final and most subtle enemy of your growth. It is not a monster, it is not a demon. It is a warm, comfortable bed piled high with soft pillows. It is the plateau of comfort. After a period of intense transformation and sustained success, it is human nature to seek rest. The desperation that fueled your initial change is gone. The acute pain of lack has subsided. You have achieved many of the goals you set for yourself. You have made it. And the ego, the part of you that craves safety and ease, whispers a seductive lullaby. You can stop now. You've done enough. Just relax and enjoy what you have built. This desire for rest is not wrong. It is natural and necessary. But when a season of rest turns into a permanent state of being, it becomes the breeding ground for the most dangerous condition of all, stagnation. You must understand a fundamental law of the cosmos. The universe is in a state of perpetual expansion. Everything in nature is either growing or it is decaying. There is no such thing as a static holding pattern. A tree that stops reaching for the light begins to die. A muscle that is no longer challenged begins to atrophy. A mind that is no longer learning begins to close. The plateau of comfort feels safe, but it is an illusion. It is the beginning of a slow, imperceptible decline. When you stop consciously expanding, you begin to unconsciously contract. The river of abundance that flows so powerfully through a life of purpose and growth begins to slow to a trickle when it meets the dam of good enough. This manifests in subtle ways. You let your daily practices slide. The gratitude journal gathers a little dust. The 5-minute alignment meditation feels less urgent. You stop reading books that challenge you and opt for easy entertainment instead. You have mastered a certain level of skill, and you stop seeking the next level of mastery. You go into maintenance mode, believing you can simply coast on the momentum of your past efforts. But the universe demands engagement. The flow requires a channel that is not only open, but is actively widening. Stagnation sends a signal to the universe that you are done, that you have reached your capacity. And the universe, honoring your choice, will begin to redirect the flow of new opportunities and inspiration to those who are still actively growing. Herein lies a profound inner conflict, a battle not of good versus evil, but of good versus great. The desire to rest and enjoy the fruits of your labor is a good and valid desire. But the soul's deepest innate impulse is to continually express itself in ever fuller, grander, and more magnificent ways. The conflict is between the voice of the contented manager who says, "Let's just maintain what we have," and the voice of the visionary pioneer who says, "What's next? What new territory can we explore?" It is the choice between being a tourist who has happily arrived at a beautiful destination and being an explorer who is in love with the endless journey of discovery itself. This leads us to the ultimate truth of a prosperous life, a message for the true masters of this path. Abundance is not a destination you arrive at, it is a direction you are headed in. Prosperity is not a status to be achieved and then defended. It is a process of perpetual expansion. The moment you say to yourself, "I have arrived," is the moment you plant the seed of your own eventual decline. The most vibrant, wealthy, and fulfilled people in spirit, in mind, and in financier those who remain eternal students. They are individuals who, no matter their level of success, are always reaching, always learning, always growing, and always asking, "How can I become more? How can I give more? What is the next evolution of my soul's expression?" They have fallen in love with the process of becoming, not with the state of having become. To live this truth, you must adopt the practice of conscious expansion. This is the strategy of ensuring you never get too comfortable on any plateau for too long. It is the art of always having a new summit in your sights, even as you are enjoying the view from your current one. In practical terms, this means that as you approach the finish line of a major goal, you must already be defining what the next, more expansive goal will be. As your business nears its annual revenue target, you are already brainstorming what the next, larger vision for the company looks like. As you feel yourself mastering a skill, you are already researching the next, more challenging skill you wish to acquire. This is not about living in a state of restless dissatisfaction. It is the opposite. It is about so deeply honoring the creative, expansive nature of your own soul that you refuse to let it fall asleep in the lull of comfort. It is about consciously reinvesting a portion of the rewards of your success back into the engine of your own growth. You use your newfound resources to hire a coach who can take you to the next level. You enroll in the advanced seminar. You take on the bigger, scarier creative project that will force you to grow in ways you cannot yet imagine. You refuse to let good enough be the enemy of your greater potential. You intentionally keep the sacred fire of becoming alive within you. Consider the metaphor of the master mountaineer. After a long and arduous climb, filled with challenges and risks, she finally stands on the summit of a mighty peak. The air is thin and clear. The view is magnificent, breathtaking. This is a moment for deep, soul-satisfying fulfillment. She rests, she eats, she takes in the majesty of her accomplishment, honoring the struggle and the strength that brought her to this high place. But the true mountaineer does not build a house on the summit and live there for the rest of her days. She knows that life at this altitude is glorious, but it is not sustainable in a static state. And so, after she has rested and integrated the profound experience, her eyes, filled with the wisdom of the heights, inevitably begin to scan the horizon. She sees, in the distance, another range, with peaks that are even higher, more challenging, more alluring. A new fire is lit within her. The call to ascend again is not born from a dissatisfaction with the beautiful view she currently has. It is born from her soul's innate love for the climb. The joy, for her, is not in having conquered the mountain. The joy is in the process of becoming the person who can. This is the final test of mastery. It is the conscious choice to remain a dynamic, evolving force of creation, rather than becoming a static monument to your past successes. By committing to a life of perpetual, joyful expansion, you ensure that the river of your abundance never slows, never stagnates, but continues to flow with ever-increasing power and grace. You honor the fundamental nature of your own soul, which is to forever reach for a fuller, more complete expression of the divinity within it. You realize, with a deep and abiding peace, that the greatest wealth you could ever possess is not found at any particular summit. The greatest wealth is the journey of the climb itself. You have stood upon the high plateau of your achievements, looked into the warm, seductive face of comfort, and have consciously chosen the endless, upward path of growth. This choice, this commitment to perpetual expansion over static safety, is the final catalyst. It is the act that initiates the great and final alchemy. The diligent practices that once required so much conscious effort and discipline begin to dissolve, not because they are forgotten, but because they have been so deeply integrated that they are no longer practices at all. They have become your very nature. You no longer need to practice the mindset. You are the mindset. You have arrived at the state of the resonant heart. This is the graduation of the soul. All the principles you have journeyed through, from unearthing your inherited blueprints, to forgiving the past, to rewriting the contract of deservingness, are no longer intellectual concepts you must remember. They have been downloaded from your conscious mind into the vast, powerful operating system of your subconscious. The daily, moment-to-moment work of choosing your thoughts, of governing your emotions, of aligning your actions, has become automated. The new, abundant programming is now running in the background, effortlessly and constantly. You have, in the most literal sense, reprogrammed your being. The state of the resonant heart is characterized by a profound and unshakable ease. The desperate, grasping energy of wanting has been replaced by the calm, confident energy of being. The inner struggle, the constant battle between your desires and your fears, has ceased. The civil war is over. A peace treaty has been signed, and your inner kingdom is united, prosperous, and calm. The architect and the laborer now work as one seamless unit. The inner monarch now rules a peaceful and joyfully productive realm. There is no more self-sabotage, because there is no longer a splintered self to commit it. Your conscious intentions and your subconscious directives are in perfect, harmonious alignment. Obstacles are no longer perceived as threatening walls, but as interesting stepping stones. Challenges are met not with a surge of stress hormones, but with a surge of creative energy. There is a deep and abiding sense of security that is utterly independent of your bank balance or the state of the economy, because your security is no longer located in the external world. It is located in the absolute, bone-deep knowing of your own value and your unbreakable connection to the infinite source of all of life. A quiet joy becomes the natural baseline of your daily emotional life. The feeling of being in the flow is no longer a rare and fleeting event to be cherished. It is your new normal. And what of inner conflict? It has largely dissolved into a state of serene awareness. The primary challenge you now face is not one of overcoming inner resistance, but one of wisely managing the ever-increasing flow of outer results. The opportunities, the resources, the requests for your time and energy, the wealth itself, it all begins to flow to you with greater and greater velocity. Your work shifts from manifestation to stewardship. The question is no longer, how can I get it? But how can I best direct this incredible flow of energy with wisdom, with purpose, and with grace? This brings us to the ultimate, crowning message of this entire journey. You have done the work. You have healed the wounds, cleared the blockages, and tuned the instrument of your own being. Your heart, once a radio tuned to the crackling static of scarcity and fear, now vibrates with a clear, pure, and powerful tone. It resonates in perfect harmony with the frequency of universal abundance. And because of this, the entire dynamic of creation has been inverted. You no longer need to try to attract wealth. You are wealth. You are a walking, talking, breathing embodiment of prosperity, creativity, and well-being. And like a powerful, permanent magnet, you now effortlessly and naturally draw to yourself people, circumstances, and resources that are a vibrational match to the resonant frequency of your own heart. Attraction is no longer something you do. It is a simple reflection of what you have become. So what is the practical work at this stage? The practice is simply to live. The formal exercises have served their purpose. They were the scaffolding used to construct a magnificent building. Now that the building is complete, strong, and beautiful, the scaffolding can be removed. Your practice now is to simply inhabit the beautiful structure you have built. It is to live in a state of joyful, aware presence. Your work becomes your play. Your discipline becomes your delight. You live your purpose, not as a duty, but as a joyful expression of your soul's unique gifts, now amplified by the resources that flow to you with ease. You enjoy the fruits of your co-creation, receiving with grace and giving with a full and open heart. You continue to learn and grow, not because you feel a deficit you need to fix, but because you are genuinely in love with the process of expansion and the endless unfolding of your own potential. Let us return one last time to the metaphor of the magnet. You began this journey as an ordinary piece of iron, possessing no magnetic properties of its own. It had the potential for magnetism, but its inner domains, its molecular structures, were all pointing in random, chaotic directions. The practices you learned, the gratitude, the forgiveness, the affirmations, the discipline were the equivalent of taking a powerful, permanent magnet and stroking that piece of iron with it over and over, always in the same direction. This was the work. It was the effort required to align those chaotic inner domains. With enough strokes, the iron would become temporarily magnetized. It could attract things to it, but the effect was not yet its own. It was a borrowed power. But with sustained, conscious, and heartfelt commitment, something deeper happens. The process is no longer one of temporary alignment. A fundamental change occurs at the deepest level of being. The stroking, the practice, has induced a permanent alchemical transformation. The piece of iron is no longer just a piece of iron. It has become a permanent magnet. Its magnetic field is now an inherent, effortless, and constant expression of its new nature. It does not need to try to be magnetic. It does not need to perform a ritual to attract things. It simply is magnetic, and its powerful silent field naturally and gracefully organizes the environment around it, drawing to it all that is in harmonic resonance with its own essential nature. This is who you have become. You are no longer borrowing the power. You are the power. You have completed the great work of inner alchemy. You have returned to your natural state. For this resonant, magnetic, abundant state of being is not a superpower you have acquired. It is your birthright, a truth that was simply buried beneath years of false programming. The journey was never about becoming someone new. It was always about unbecoming everything that wasn't truly you, so that the magnificent, wealthy, and powerful soul you have always been could finally shine forth, unimpeded. We began this journey together before a plot of untended ground. The soil of your mind was hardened, compacted with the beliefs of others, and overgrown with the thorny weeds of scarcity, fear, and doubt. Your first task was simply to survey this land, to see it for what it was. Then, with courage, you began the work. You became the gardener, You pulled the weeds of unworthiness, one by one. You broke up the hard soil of past regrets, aerating it with the breath of forgiveness. You planted new seeds of gratitude, of trust, of deservingness, and you watered them with the elevated emotions of your own heart. You learned to command the sun and the rain, not with force, but through alignment. Look now. Look at the garden of your life. It is no longer a forgotten plot. It is a lush, vibrant, and flourishing ecosystem of prosperity. The blossoms of opportunity open to the sun. The strong trees of your purpose reach for the sky, their roots deep in the soil of your being. The river of abundance flows freely, nourishing everything it touches. It is a magnificent creation. And here, in the final quiet moment, you realize the ultimate truth. You did not just become the gardener of your life. You have realized that you are the garden itself. Your consciousness is the soil, your beliefs are the seeds, your emotions are the weather, and your outer world is simply the beautiful, living result of your inner cultivation. Know this as you move forward from this space. Nothing was given to you on this journey that you did not already possess. No power was bestowed upon you from an outside source. There was no magic trick, no secret key handed to you. There was only a remembering, a returning, a gentle and then powerful awakening to the magnificent creative force that has always been your true nature. The power was always within you, sleeping, waiting for you to come home to yourself. The universe is not withholding wealth from you. It is, and always has been, waiting to channel wealth through you. The question is no longer what you have to do to get it. The question is, who do you have to become? The answer is already within you. Listen.